Chapter 4684. Kill. Let's attack together. The remaining 5 Lord of Heaven roared as they charged towards Lu Ming and Gu Mo from 5 different directions. The combined might of the 5 Lord of Heaven was terrifying. Demonic bone puppets, come out. Gu Mo yelled. Immediately, 3 skeletons filled with demonic aura appeared. One of them was a snake-shaped skeleton, the other was a wolf-shaped skeleton, and the last one was a bear-shaped skeleton. These were the demonic bone puppets that Gu Mo had refined using the bones of the 3 surviving species of the untainted land. The 3 demonic bone puppets charged towards the 3 Lord of Heaven. Both parties clashed and an intense battle broke out. The 3 demonic bone puppets were very powerful. They fought against 1 Lord of Heaven each, and it was difficult to determine the outcome of the battle. Gu Mo, on the other hand, was fighting against 2 Lord of Heaven alone. Gu Mo was very powerful. Every part of his body was a deadly weapon. At the same time, his defense was also very strong. However, the 2 Lord of Heaven that Gu Mo was fighting were not easy to deal with either. This was because the 2 Lord of Heaven were both in control of source-level divine weapons. Source-level divine weapons were extremely sharp and indestructible. Although a peak divine master could not unleash the true power of a source-level divine weapon, it was still a big threat. Therefore, although Gu Mo was powerful, he was only able to fight the 2 Lord of Heaven to a draw. It was difficult to determine the outcome of the battle. The 5 Lord of Heaven were all blocked. Only Lu Ming and Yi Qiuxian were left at the scene. How is this possible? Yi Qiuxian's eyes widened in disbelief. Nothing is impossible. Yi Qiuxian, now that only the 2 of us are left, we can have a fair fight. Lu Ming said coldly. He held the war god's spear in his hand and exuded a strong fighting spirit. He took a few steps forward and quickly approached Yi Qiuxian. Don't think that I'm afraid of you. Yi Qiuxian shouted, and his glabella glowed brightly. The source-grade divine weapon flew out and landed in Yi Qiuxian's hands. His perfect heavenly energy erupted. 4 different kinds of heavenly energy gathered in the soul-grade divine weapon, and he slashed it at Lu Ming. Wang! The war god's spear vibrated and turned into a dazzling spear light that pierced toward Yi Qiuxian. Clang! 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 Both of them were extremely fast. In an instant, they had exchanged dozens of moves. Spear chi and sword chi were overflowing. After dozens of moves, Yi Qiuxian staggered back. He was no match for Lu Ming and was at a slight disadvantage. Desolate style. Heaven-breaking style. Lu Ming executed 2 killer moves consecutively, not giving Yi Qiuxian any chance to catch his breath. Lu Ming did not ask Qiuqiu for help. He wanted to defeat Yi Qiuxian head-on. For ultimate heavenly sword formation, rise! Yi Qiuxian roared. With the soul-grade divine weapon as the core and the 4 master-grade divine weapons as support, he activated the sword formation and unleashed his perfect heavenly energy to the maximum. To be honest, Yi Qiuxian was really strong. He was almost invincible among those of the same level in the desolate universe. Especially after Yi Immortal's guidance, his combat strength was even stronger than when he was in Taishang Immortal City. However, Lu Ming was also stronger than when he was in Taishang Immortal City. As he continued to comprehend, the power of the desolate style was also stronger than when he was in Taishang Immortal City. Using the desolate style and heaven-breaking style consecutively, Lu Ming gradually gained the upper hand in the battle. Bam! After dozens of moves, Yi Qiuxian was almost hit by the war god's spear. However, he was also hit by the aftershock of the war god's spear, and his body flew out. Then, Yi Qiuxian turned around and ran into the distance. Yi Qiuxian, don't even think about leaving. Lu Ming shouted. He executed the greater extreme light art and chased after Yi Qiuxian. In the blink of an eye, the 2 of them were tens of thousands of miles away from this place. Clearly, Lu Ming's speed was faster. In just tens of thousands of miles, he caught up with Yi Qiuxian. With a palm strike, a continent was formed. It shrouded Yi Qiuxian's head and pressed down on him. Break! Yi Qiuxian shouted. He slashed out with his sword and split the continent in half. However, a spear light was already closing in on Yi Qiuxian. Yi Qiuxian could only stop and continue fighting with Lu Ming. However, after dozens of moves, Yi Qiuxian was still no match for Lin Fan. He kept retreating. Lu Ming, die. Yi Qiuxian was completely enraged. He gathered all his strength into the Origin Grade Battle Sword, including the Origin Source Energy in the Origin Source Seed. This was his strongest sword move. The sword light was like a waterfall. It cut through the void and slashed towards Lu Ming. Then let's use this move to decide the victor. Heaven breaking! Lu Ming shouted. He executed the heaven breaking style. His body turned into a spear light. He became one with the spear and stabbed towards Yi Qiuxian. Lu Ming also released his Origin Source Energy in this move. Boom! The sword light and spear light collided in midair. It was like a rampaging explosion. It was scorching hot and dazzling. The sword chi and spear light that burst out from the collision cut open terrifying cracks in the void. However, the two of them were in a deadlock for only a few breaths. The sword light suddenly collapsed and the spear light expanded. It continued to stab towards Yi Qiuxian. Lu Ming emerged victorious in the clash of the two strongest moves. Lu Ming had obtained first place in the highest immortal city. He was in the first tier. Therefore, the Origin Source Seed that he condensed was the largest and contained the most Origin Source Energy. As for Yi Qiuxian, he was only in the second tier. The size of his Origin Source Seed was about the same as Xian Yinqing's. Therefore, when Yi Qiuxian activated his Origin Source Seed to release his strongest attack, he was defeated by Lu Ming. The War God Spear did not stop and stabbed towards Yi Qiuxian's forehead. However, at the instant the tip of the spear came into contact with Yi Qiuxian's forehead, countless runes emerged from Yi Qiuxian's forehead. Those runes weaved together to form a powerful defensive power that forcibly blocked the War God Spear. The strong impact sent Yi Qiuxian flying. Another life-saving treasure. This time, I'll break through your life-saving treasure. Lu Ming's body shot out like an aurora. The War God Spear swept across and struck Yi Qiuxian's body. The last time Lu Ming and Yi Qiuxian clashed, Yi Qiuxian had exhausted too much of his energy and Lu Ming had turned the tables. At that time, it was this life-saving treasure that had protected Yi Qiuxian. However, Lu Ming remembered that this life-saving treasure had the strongest defensive force between the eyebrows. The body part was weaker. Therefore, he would attack from the weakest part of the body. Bam! The War God Spear struck Yi Qiuxian's body. There were still runes on his body that blocked the War God Spear. However, he was sent flying like a cannonball and smashed through a mountain. Lu Ming's attack did not stop. He turned into a ray of spear light and chased after Yi Qiuxian, piercing his chest. Boom! A violent explosion rang out. The defensive runes on Yi Qiuxian's body shook violently and were dented. They were almost pierced through. The strong impact seeped into the runes and struck Yi Qiuxian's body, causing him to cough up blood. Just a little more. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. His killing intent was cold as he erupted with power. The War God Spear vibrated and in an instant, he stabbed out 108 times. The 108 rays of spear light all pierced Yi Qiuxian's chest. Crack! Bam! The defensive runes on Yi Qiuxian's body were finally broken. A strong force rushed in. Chapter 4685. The rune defense on Yi Qiuxian's body was torn apart by Lu Ming's spear and a powerful force gushed in. Bam! Half of Yi Qiuxian's body exploded. He screamed in agony as the remaining half of his body flew out. His eyes were filled with fear. Die! Lu Ming shouted coldly. His attacks did not stop as he continued to charge towards Yi Qiuxian. The war god's spear enlarged and swept out. Yi Qiuxian was only severely injured. Such injuries were far from enough to take his life. Only by destroying his soul could Yi Qiuxian be truly killed. Yi Qiuxian's rune defense had been breached. The rune defense on his head was no longer strong. Lu Ming was confident that he could break it in less than 2 moves. Bam! The huge war god's spear struck Yi Qiuxian's head. The rune defense on Yi Qiuxian's head vibrated violently and was almost broken. The powerful force sent Yi Qiuxian flying like a rubber ball, crashing into a mountain peak. Lu Ming leaped and caught up with Yi Qiuxian, launching the next wave of attacks. No, 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 Yi Qiuxian screamed in his heart. His eyes were filled with fear. If this continued, it would take at most 2 moves. No, it might only take 1 move for his rune defense to be completely broken. Once his rune defense was broken, he would be dead. However, at this moment, Lu Ming was suddenly on the alert. He felt a strong sense of crisis descending. Lu Ming could not be bothered to continue attacking Yi Qiuxian. Without hesitation, he brought the war god's spear with him and turned in a half circle, sweeping it diagonally upwards. At this moment, a ray of sword light slashed towards Lu Ming and collided with the war god's spear. Clang! A loud explosion rang out. Lu Ming's body involuntarily drifted back tens of thousands of meters. The power of this ray of sword light was extremely shocking. Then, Lu Ming saw 2 figures flashing charging towards Yi Qiuxian. They were the 2 Lord of Heaven of the heavenly human tribe. However, these 2 Lord of Heaven were covered in blood and had suffered injuries of varying degrees. Their faces were pale and their auras were somewhat weak. Clearly, they were all heavily injured. The one who had launched a sneak attack on Lu Ming was a Lord of Heaven wielding a sword. At this moment, the 2 of them arrived before Yi Qiuxian. The sword-wielding Lord of Heaven grabbed Yi Qiuxian and rushed away. That direction was the direction of the crack they had entered from. Where do you think you're going? Lu Ming shouted and chased after him with all his might. Although the other side had 2 Lord of Heaven, they were obviously injured and not at their peak state. It seemed that Bone Devil had obtained an absolute advantage. Now, all he had to do was stall the other party and wait for the Bone Demon to arrive, then he could kill the other party. Most importantly, this was a rare opportunity. Lu Ming did not want to let Yi Qiuxian go. Although Yi Qiuxian lacked courage, it was undeniable that his talent was too high. In terms of talent, almost no one in the younger generation of the universe could compare to him. In the future, he would definitely become a big shot in the Heavenly Palace. This would be very disadvantageous for the Heaven Destroyer. If he could get rid of him, he would do his best to do so. If he missed this opportunity, it would be difficult to get rid of him in the future. Lu Ming raised his speed to the maximum. He turned into an aurora and chased after the 2 Lord of Heaven. As expected, the 2 Lord of Heaven were not at their peak state. Their speed was not as fast as when they were at their peak, especially the sword-wielding Lord of Heaven. He was more heavily injured and his speed was slower. Even though the sword-wielding Lord of Heaven was carrying Yi Qiuxian, he was still faster than him. The distance between Lu Ming and the other party was slowly closing. Take Qiuxian and leave first. I'll go kill that brat. The sword-wielding Lord of Heaven shouted. He suddenly turned around and flew towards Lu Ming. As for the sword-wielding Lord of Heaven, he continued to flee with Yi Qiuxian. Swoosh! The sword-wielding Lord of Heaven rushed towards Lu Ming. He slashed his saber at Lu Ming. The saber light was thousands of miles long. Lu Ming swung his spear to meet the attack. The war god's spear struck the saber light and exploded. Then, the saber light dissipated. Lu Ming took a deep breath and trembled slightly. Looks like the other party is seriously injured. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. Lu Ming would definitely not be able to stop the Lord of Heaven in his peak state. But now, he could. Kill! The sword-wielding Lord of Heaven shouted. He became one with his saber and turned into a dazzling saber light. He cut through the void and slashed towards Lu Ming, wanting to kill Lu Ming. The reason why he stayed behind to stop Lu Ming was to let the sword-wielding Lord of Heaven leave with Yi Qiuxian. Also, he wanted to take the opportunity to kill Lu Ming. Just like the reason why Lu Ming wanted to kill Yi Qiuxian, in the eyes of the heavenly human race, Lu Ming was also a huge threat that had to be eliminated. Heaven Splitter. Lu Ming shouted and performed the Heaven Splitter. He became one with his spear and turned into a dazzling spear light that pierced towards the other party. The spear and the saber were incomparably dazzling. They cut through the void and collided in the air, erupting with dazzling light. Rings of shockwaves spread out in all directions like ripples. Then, the two figures drifted back at the same time. They were evenly matched. Then, the two rushed towards each other and fought. After all, the other party was the Lord of Heaven. Even if his combat strength was not at his peak state, he was still extremely powerful and was not weaker than Lu Ming. In an instant, the two of them exchanged more than 10 moves. Ball ball, Lu Ming's heart stirred. Ball ball flew out and turned into a mirror. It shot out a beam of light that enveloped the sword-wielding Lord of Heaven. The sword-wielding Lord of Heaven was stunned for a moment. However, in just an instant, the sword-wielding Lord of Heaven roared and a terrifying force burst out from his body, forcibly shattering Ball Ball's beam of light. Burn the supreme power of heaven. Lu Ming furrowed his brows and retreated rapidly. The other party had already started burning the supreme power of heaven without caring about the consequences. By burning the supreme power of heaven, the other party's battle prowess would probably reach his peak for a short period of time. As a result, Lu Ming retreated while Ball Ball flew back to Lu Ming's body. It rapidly squirmed and turned into a suit of armor that enveloped Lu Ming. Lu Ming, die. The sword-wielding Lord of Heaven roared and charged at Lu Ming, swinging his sword wildly. The consequences of burning the supreme power of heaven were extremely severe. It was very likely that he would never be able to reach reciprocity again, cutting off all hope of advancing in the future. As a result, he paid such a great price to kill Lu Ming. The blade flashed as fast as lightning. Lu Ming could only use his spear to block. Clang! Clang! The two of them constantly clashed, clashing over 100 times in an instant. In the end, Lu Ming was still not his opponent. He retreated and was struck twice by the other party. Fortunately, Ball Ball's armor blocked the two strikes. It's still not at the peak. I can hold him back. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He discovered that even after burning the supreme power of heaven, the other party's battle prowess did not seem to reach his peak. Lu Ming understood very soon. One reason was that the other party was injured. The other reason was origin energy. Before the other party had fled, it was very clear that the origin energy in the origin seed had been used up. When fighting Lu Ming, the other party had not used any origin energy at all. Chapter 4686. Therefore, even though the blade-wielding Lord of Heaven had burned his ultimate power of heaven, he was still not as strong as origin energy. He was still a hair away from the peak. As for Lu Ming, he was now a 6th-level Divine Master, no longer a 5th-level Divine Master. With Qiuqiu's help, Lu Ming was confident that he could keep his opponent occupied. As long as Bone Demon arrived, his opponent would die. Heaven-crushing form, desolate form, kill, kill, kill. Lu Ming's confidence was greatly boosted. He roared to the sky, his black hair flying as he continuously used the two self-created secret techniques in succession, bombarding his opponent. Although Lu Ming was still at a disadvantage, he ignored defense and attacked with all his might. He was really evenly matched with his opponent. Soon, the two had exchanged over 100 blows. At this moment, two streaks of light appeared in the distance. The two streaks of light collided in the air several times, erupting with violent booms. Bone Demon is here. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. One of the two streaks of light was Bone Demon. The other streak of light was a Lord of Heaven. This Lord of Heaven was extremely powerful. He held a spear in his hand. That spear was an origin-grade divine weapon. Of the 8 Lord of Heaven beside Yi Qiuxian, 2 of them wielded origin-grade divine weapons. One of them was the sword-wielding Lord of Heaven who had fled with Yi Qiuxian. The other one was the Heaven Monarch who used a long spear. However, this Lord of Heaven was clearly heavily injured. There was a large hole in his chest that went straight through. Even his heart had exploded. His combat strength was not at its peak and was no match for Bone Demon. This person was fighting as he ran. However, after several collisions, this Lord of Heaven's body smashed into the ground like a meteor, creating a deep pit. Swish! The Bone Devil looked down from above and dived into the deep pit. Rumble! The ground rumbled violently, and crushed stones flew everywhere. The next moment, the Bone Demon's figure charged into the sky from the deep pit. He was a skeleton, and his pitch-black bones were stained with fresh blood. He held a golden battle spear in his hand. The battle spear was stained with blood, looking demonic and horrifying. Needless to say, the Lord of Heaven was most likely dead. Otherwise, how could the battle spear have fallen into the Bone Devil's hands? The Bone Demon's gaze landed on Lu Ming and the blade-wielding Lord of Heaven. Then, like a streak of light, it rushed towards the blade-wielding Lord of Heaven. The blade-wielding Lord of Heaven revealed a look of despair in his eyes. Lu Ming, let's die together. The knife-wielding Lord of Heaven roared. His face was incomparably ferocious. A terrifying aura burst out from his body, like a volcano about to erupt. Self-detonation. Lu Ming was shocked. He retreated quickly, and at the same time, he blasted out a palm. A continent appeared and was about to envelop the opponent. However, the opponent slashed out with his blade, splitting the continent in half, and continued to rush towards Lu Ming. Humph, you want to self-detonate? You have to ask me first, the Bone Demon snorted. Demonic chi surged from his body, and he suddenly threw out the golden battle spear in his hand. The golden battle spear flew towards the blade-wielding Lord of Heaven like a bolt of lightning. Fast, it was really too fast. It took almost an instant, which was beyond anyone's reaction time, to appear in front of the blade-wielding Heaven Monarch. The blade-wielding Lord of Heaven was shocked and hurriedly raised his blade to block. With a clang, the golden battle spear pierced the opponent's battle blade, and sparks flew everywhere. The Bone Demon's attack was too powerful. He had used all of his strength. In addition, the golden battle spear was a source-level divine weapon, so it was incomparably sharp. The opponent's battle blade was only a supreme-level divine weapon. After the collision, dense cracks appeared on the blade. Finally, with a bang, the battle blade shattered. The battle spear did not stop there. It pierced through the Lord of Heaven's protective energy and pierced through his chest, nailing the blade-wielding Lord of Heaven to the ground. However, the opponent was not dead yet. He roared and wanted to self-detonate. Swoosh! The war god spear in Lu Ming's hand flew out and pierced the blade-wielding Lord of Heaven's forehead, killing him completely. At this moment, the Bone Demon landed and grabbed the golden battle spear in his hand. Not bad. I'll keep it for now. The Bone Demon smiled and kept the golden battle spear. Lu Ming walked over and pulled out the war god spear. Bone Demon, where are the other Lord of Heaven? Lu Ming asked. I killed them. It's a pity that the 3 devil bone puppets were useless. They all fell apart. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to escape. Where's Yi Qiuxian? The Bone Demon asked. He was rescued by the sword-wielding Lord of Heaven. Let's chase after him. Lu Ming said. The Bone Demon nodded. Together with Lu Ming, they turned into 2 streaks of light and chased after the sword-wielding Lord of Heaven and Yi Qiuxian. It was obvious that the sword-wielding Lord of Heaven was trying to escape through the crack with Yi Qiuxian. Lu Ming and the Bone Demon flew in that direction. Unfortunately, they did not find any trace of Yi Qiuxian or the sword-wielding Lord of Heaven. Obviously, the sword-wielding Lord of Heaven had delayed them for a while and allowed them to escape too far away. Lu Ming and the Bone Demon were already flying at full speed, but they still could not catch up. After some time, they arrived at the crack where they had first entered. They still could not catch up with Yi Qiuxian and the sword-wielding Lord of Heaven. What a pity, Lu Ming sighed softly. It was such a good opportunity, but they still could not kill Yi Qiuxian. It would be difficult to find such a good opportunity in the future. This Yi Qiuxian was obviously a person with great luck. He was always able to turn misfortunes into blessings. Lu Ming, I'd better hide in the Chaos Ring. I've just smelted the devil bone and need time to consolidate it. If there's anything, just call me. The Bone Demon said. All right. Lu Ming nodded and kept the Bone Demon in the Chaos Ring. Speaking of which, this trip of being hunted by the heavenly human tribe could be considered a blessing in disguise. His cultivation had increased by 1 level and reached the 6th level Divine Master realm. He had also obtained a few hundred stalks of main-grade divine herbs and a stalk of origin-grade divine herb. In addition, the Bone Demon had finally recovered some of his cultivation and reached the peak of the Divine Master realm. He could deal with several Lord of Heaven at the same time. This greatly boosted Lu Ming's confidence. If he encountered another expert at the level of the Lord of Heaven, he could just release the Bone Demon. They left the crack and returned to the continent above. I wonder how Lion and the others are doing. Lu Ming was a little worried. Lion and the others had been besieged by 8 Lord of Heaven led by Yi Qiuxian. He did not know how they were doing. However, because the purple-clad Lord of Heaven had been lured away by Lu Ming, there were only 7 Lord of Heaven left. Lion and the others should be able to escape successfully. They should be heading towards the depths of the continent. I've wasted a lot of time. I have to hurry over and meet up with them. Lu Ming pondered and then rushed along the ground toward the depths of the continent. In the blink of an eye, a day had passed. There's someone over there. Suddenly, Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat as he sensed a living being approaching from the right. Lu Ming used the great concealment technique and hid behind a rock to observe carefully. Not long after, 7 figures appeared nearby. It's Lion and the others. Lu Ming was overjoyed. He did not expect to meet Lion and the others here. Chapter 4687. He did not expect to meet Lion and the rest here. He had been in that underground world for so long. He thought that Lion and the rest would have already entered the depths of the continent if they had escaped. He did not expect that Lion and the rest would not have entered the depths of the continent. Lu Ming did not continue to hide and came out in a flash. Lion and the rest were startled at first, but they were overjoyed when they saw Lu Ming. Lu Ming, it's great that you're fine. Huh, I knew that Lu Ming would be fine. Lion and the rest laughed. Why are you here? What happened when you were besieged by the heavenly human race? Lu Ming asked. We attacked with all our might, but we managed to break out of the encirclement. Unfortunately, one of us was killed by them. How hateful, we've been looking for you in the surroundings all this time, Lion explained. Lu Ming was touched. He understood why Lion and the rest did not enter the depths of the continent. They had been looking for him in the surroundings all this time. By the way, Lu Ming, you were chased by a Lord of Heaven. How did you manage to escape? Lion asked Lu Ming. I was lucky and encountered a group of giant snakes. I was lucky enough to use those giant snakes to entangle that Lord of Heaven. That was how I managed to escape. Lu Ming explained when he saw them. Lu Ming did not mention that he had been chased by Yi Qiuxian and the rest, and that he had killed the other party's 7 heavenly lords. Given his cultivation base, it would be too unbelievable to say that he had killed 7 Lord of Heaven alone. It would probably shock Lion and the rest. Low profile. Lu Ming had always been low profile. Lu Ming, your cultivation base has broken through again. Lion and the rest realized that Lu Ming's cultivation base had reached the 6th level of the Divine Master realm. All of them widened their eyes in shock. I was lucky. I was lucky enough to obtain some master-grade divine herbs. Lu Ming laughed and glossed over it. The lips of Lion and the other peak divine masters twitched, but they didn't know what to say. Lucky breakthrough? How come they never got lucky? Was it that easy to break through to the divine master realm? Back when they had broken through to the divine master realm, they had spent at least a stellar year to break through to the next level. It was only after a long period of accumulation, comprehension, and slowly accumulating resources that one could break through. Lu Ming, on the other hand, had only disappeared for a few days and he had already broken through a level. Envy, jealousy, and hatred. We've been delayed for so long. I wonder how the human sovereign's body is doing. Let's hurry to the depths of the continent. Lu Ming changed the topic. As expected, when the human king's body was mentioned, the lion's attention was diverted. That's right. Let's hurry to the depths of the continent. Lion said. So many days had passed, and he wondered what the situation in the depths of the continent was like. Back then, the human king's 4 limbs and head had flown into the depths of the continent on their own. He did not know what had happened, and he did not know if they had been found yet. Had the depths of the continent been turned upside down because of the battle for the human sovereign's body? The group of 8 quickly set off and headed toward the depths of the continent. They had been delayed for a long time, so along the way, they almost did not encounter any other teams. They did not encounter anyone from the Heaven Destroyer or the Heavenly Palace. Presumably, these people had already entered the depths of the continent. They only needed to avoid those surviving species, so their speed was not slow. 3 days later, they arrived at the depths of the continent. In the depths of the continent, the forest had disappeared and turned into a plain. The field of vision was very wide. In the depths of the plain, there was a huge mountain peak that stood between heaven and earth. No, that was not an ordinary mountain peak. It was actually a mountain peak made of metal. Its entire body was made of pitch-black metal of the surviving species, and it looked sturdy and immortal. On the ground around the mountain, there were huge metal towers scattered all around. These metal towers were all as tall as the sky, and they were scattered all around the mountain peak. At a glance, there were no less than 1,000 of them. Furthermore, these metal towers were covered in talisman scripts. These talisman scripts intertwined with each other, forming an incredibly huge formation that enveloped the metal mountain peak in the middle. Lu Ming also saw a figure on each of the metal towers. Those figures were also made of metal. They held sabers in their hands, and saber lights soared into the sky, forming a battle formation. What was even more shocking was that the human sovereigns for limbs and head were actually attacking this large formation. The human sovereigns for limbs and head floated in 5 different directions, giving off boundless light as they launched ferocious attacks on the large formation. Suddenly, the fingers of one of the arms trembled as it grabbed downwards. It actually burst out with boundless sword light that smashed down on the large formation. A stone leg stomped down from the air, turning into a huge foot that could hold up the sky. It stepped on the large formation and clashed fiercely with the formation. That head opened its mouth and let out a roar. A long river descended and bombarded the grand formation. Strong, simply too strong. The human sovereigns for limbs and head seemed to have turned into a peerless expert using a powerful move. However, that formation was also incomparably powerful. More than 1,000 metal towers, giving off boundless talisman scripts and radiance, in addition to the metal puppets on the towers, seemed to have merged into one. They actually condensed into 5 huge figures in the void. These 5 figures were very blurry. Their appearances couldn't be seen clearly, only that they were all in human form. The 5 figures sat cross-legged in the void, blocking the attacks of the human sovereign's body. Lu Ming, Lion, and the others were dumbfounded. This scene had far exceeded their imagination. Could it be that the human sovereign's body flew here on its own to break the formation here? Could it be that the human sovereign's body was in that metal mountain peak? The metal box had said that the human sovereign had died in battle. The human sovereign's body had been divided into 7 parts and sealed in 7 different places. Could this formation have been left behind by the existence that sealed the human sovereign's body? Then, Lu Ming and the others saw that there were many people gathered in the distance where the human sovereign's body clashed with the formation. On one side, there were people from the Heaven Destroyer. On the other side, there were people from the Heavenly Palace. Not far from the people from the Heavenly Palace, there were 300 experts from the Quasi-Saint tribe. Lu Ming, Lion, and the others flew directly to the Heaven Destroyer. Lu Ming, you're finally here. Tang Jun smiled when he saw Lu Ming. Then Mo Chang, Rong Gong, Lin Yi, and the others all came to greet Lu Ming. Lu Ming asked and learned that Tang Jun and the others had arrived here more than 10 days ago. When they arrived here, they found that the human sovereign's body had been attacking the formation for a long time. Until now, it hadn't broken through. When the other people from the Heaven Destroyer saw Lu Ming's arrival, they also smiled. After all, Lu Ming could use the human sovereign's body. If there was a competition later, perhaps Lu Ming could play a big role. Chapter 4688. Lu Ming looked around and realized that the number of people in the Heaven Destroyer had decreased by quite a lot. There were about a few hundred fewer people compared to when they had split up. It was very likely that these people had died along the way. They had either died in the mouth of an untainted ancient beast or they had met the people from the Heavenly Palace and died in the hands of the people from the Heavenly Palace. Of course, there were some people who had been delayed and had yet to arrive. But after all, Lu Ming had been delayed for so long and was much slower than the others. Those who had yet to arrive were definitely in the minority. Losing a few hundred people, all of whom were divine masters, was definitely a huge loss. But thinking about it, the Heavenly Palace was not any better. They must have suffered a great loss as well. Rumble. In the sky, the human king's body was still attacking the formation. Heaven and earth rumbled incessantly. The scene was really shocking. The people from the Heaven Destroyer and the Heavenly Palace did not dare to get too close for fear of being implicated. Not to mention divine masters, even Origin Realm cultivators who were slightly weaker would have to avoid the might of the attack. Lu Ming waited quietly. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, in the blink of an eye, 5 days had passed. The human king's body was still breaking the formation. It was as if it had endless energy that could not be used up. After these 5 days, Lu Ming realized that the light of the formation had dimmed a little. The runes on the metal towers had also dimmed a little. The energy of the formation is limited. If this continues, it won't be long before the formation is broken. Tang Jun muttered. Lu Ming nodded. Everyone was waiting here with the same thought. They were waiting for the day when the formation would be broken. When the formation was broken, there might be a huge change. Yi Qiuxian, suddenly, Lu Ming's eyes flashed. He saw 2 figures approaching from another direction. It was Yi Qiuxian and the sword-wielding Lord of Heaven. At this time, Yi Qiuxian's injuries were almost healed, and they flew towards the Heavenly Palace. In such an occasion, Lu Ming naturally could not make a move, because the other side was full of masters from the Heavenly Palace. The reason why the Heaven Destroyer and the Heavenly Palace hadn't started fighting yet was because they were observing the situation. Now that the human king's corporeal body was breaking the formation, if a huge battle broke out between them, who knew what would happen? However, if someone were to make the first move, it would probably lead to an abnormally large-scale battle. Yi Qiuxian and the sword-wielding Lord of Heaven flew into the crowd in the Heavenly Palace. Yi Qiuxian flew directly to Yi Immortal's side and lowered his head as he called out, "Immortal Prince. What's going on? Why are you so late? Where are the others with you? Why is there only one left?" Yi Immortal asked with a slight frown. "The others are all dead." Yi Qiuxian replied with difficulty. "All dead? What happened? Tell me everything, don't hide anything." Yi Immortal said coldly. Yi Qiuxian didn't dare to hide anything from Yi Immortal, so he immediately recounted everything that had happened. Of course, he told the Immortal through telepathy, because it was too embarrassing. If others knew about it, he would become a laughing stock. To think that something like this actually happened, Lu Ming. Interesting, Ye Immortal muttered, a cold glint flashing in his eyes. Immortal Prince, Ye Immortal was ashamed. Don't worry, if there's a chance, I'll personally eliminate him. When we're at the same level, I'll crush his confidence, Ye Immortal sneered. In the blink of an eye, another 7 days passed. At this time, the light from the formation was extremely dim, and the runes on the metal tower were also dim. Boom! The human king's right arm became incomparably huge, and he punched down on the formation, causing it to shake violently and cracks to appear on it. For the first time, cracks appeared on the formation. The other parts of the human king's body seized the opportunity to unleash heaven-defying attacks on the formation. Boom! 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 The formation shook violently, and cracks appeared on it. Then, it started to explode. Not only that, some of the metal towers also exploded. In an instant, at least a dozen of the metal towers exploded into pieces. The formation had been destroyed. The moment the formation was destroyed, the metal puppets on the metal towers soared into the sky and gathered together in the air. These metal puppets gathered together one by one, forming 5 incomparably huge metal puppets. Every few hundred metal puppets gathered together to form a gigantic metal puppet, which wielded a huge saber and charged towards the human king's body. Boom! 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 The 5 gigantic metal puppets collided with the human king's limbs and head. However, with just one hit, the 5 gigantic metal puppets were destroyed. They scattered and split into smaller metal puppets. Many of the smaller puppets even exploded, turning into tiny metal fragments. Only a small number of metal puppets were not destroyed and landed on the metal towers. The formation had been completely destroyed. Swoosh swoosh, the human king's body flew towards the metal mountain without any obstruction. The metal mountain seemed to be sealed without a door. However, the human king's body directly bombarded the metal mountain. Boom boom, after 5 consecutive explosions, the sealed metal mountain was actually blasted open. 5 passageways were formed. The human king's body flew into the metal mountain and disappeared. Heaven Destroyer, Heavenly Palace, and Quasi-Sage Tribe looked at each other in dismay. Then, everyone revealed a decisive look. The formation has been destroyed. The human king's body should have been gathered. Let's go. Seize the human king's body. Some of the leaders roared and rushed toward the metal mountain peak. Heaven Destroyer, Heavenly Palace, Quasi-Sage Tribe, and all the experts rushed towards the metal mountain. There was no obstruction on the way. The remaining metal towers and metal puppets were motionless like statues. The 3 groups arrived at the foot of the mountain unimpeded. 5 passageways had been blasted open on the metal mountain. Heaven Destroyer's people entered from the southern passageway. Heavenly Palace's people entered from the northern passageway. Quasi-Sage Tribe's people entered from the northeastern passageway. The passageway was smooth and circular. It was 100 meters in diameter and tens of thousands of meters deep. Clang! Someone used a master-grade divine weapon to hack at the smooth wall of the passageway. The sound of metal clashing rang out and sparks flew everywhere. However, the smooth wall was completely unscathed. Not even a mark was left on it. Everyone was shocked. This metal was excessively hard. The person who had attacked just now was a 9th-level Divine Master. A 9th-level Divine Master controlled a master-grade divine weapon to attack, yet he could not even leave a mark on the metal wall. This metal was unimaginably hard. What if it was refined into a divine weapon? Many people's eyes were burning. They knew that this metal was definitely a rare and precious material. If they could bring some out, it would definitely be a great harvest. FPZW. Chapter 4689. Clang! Someone else made a move. This time, it was a pinnacle divine master. However, this peak divine master did not leave a single mark on the wall. Everyone gasped. Even a peak divine master could not leave a mark. What kind of metal was this? Was it not too hard? At the same time, everyone sighed. Not even a single mark was left. It was a fool's dream to dig out some of it and take it away. No. Everyone immediately thought of the metal towers and metal puppets outside. Those metal towers and puppets seemed to be made of the same metal as this metal mountain. Previously, many of those metal towers and puppets had been destroyed by the human king's body and turned into metal fragments scattered all over the ground. Those metal fragments could be taken away. Unfortunately, they were in a hurry to rush into the passage and forgot to pick them up. The human king's body is more important. When we get the body in retreat, we will have time to pick up some more. Don't retreat now, continue to rush forward. A peak-level divine master shouted. That's right. The human king's body is related to the fate of the primitive universe. We cannot lose it. After all, these metals are external objects. Another person shouted. Everyone could only continue to rush forward. Lu Ming also sighed. He had forgotten to pick them up. It would have been better to pick them up and give them to Qiuqiu. Qiuqiu was also gritting his teeth. The passage was not long. Soon, they rushed through the passage and arrived at the center of the metal mountain. The center of the metal mountain was empty, forming a huge space. Heaven Destroyer rushed through the passage and found that the people of the Heavenly Palace and the Quasi-Sage tribe had also arrived. However, their gazes fell on the center of the space. In the center, there was a metal altar and a bronze box on the altar. The bronze box was open. Inside, there was a human body made of stone suspended in the air. At this time, the four limbs and head of the human king's body were gathered together with the body. It was obvious that they wanted to fuse together to form a complete body. However, the body, limbs, and head of the human king's body were densely packed with runes that prevented them from fusing together. Every part of the human king's body emitted a dazzling light as if to forcibly refine those runes and fuse together. Apart from the heart, the human sovereign's physical body is almost complete. I must get it. Attack. At this moment, the Heaven Destroyer, the Heavenly Palace, the Quasi-Immortal tribe, and the other experts all rushed toward the human monarch's body to seize it. Previously, the Heavenly Palace had only grasped two parts of the human king's body. He had mastered one of the Heaven Destroyer. The Quasi-Saint race had grasped one. It was incredibly difficult to gather all the sovereign personages' bodies together. But now, the opportunity was right in front of him. The body of the human king was almost complete. As long as he could obtain it, he would be able to obtain 6 in one go. In the future, as long as he could obtain the heart of the human king, he would be able to form the complete body of the human king and dominate the world, suppressing all his enemies. Who wouldn't be tempted? Every side wanted to grasp it in their hands. However, there were more than 10,000 divine masters from the three sides. When they got close to the human king's body, the human king's body emitted a powerful energy that spread out in all directions. Everyone's bodies shook violently as they were pushed back by the impact. Their speed was even faster than when they pounced forward. They were all slammed into the metal walls around them. Some of the weaker ones spat out blood, and their faces turned pale. No one could get close to the human king's body. We can't do it now. The human king's body is fusing and will emit a powerful energy. That's right. We can only wait until the human king's body fuses together. Everyone discussed among themselves and didn't continue to attack. The human king's body was too powerful. It seemed to be recovering on its own. The energy it emitted was incomparably terrifying. It wasn't something a divine master could compare to. They could only get close to the human king's body when it successfully fused, stopped recovering, and retracted its energy. Otherwise, even if the human king's body was there, they wouldn't be able to obtain it. Immortal young master, should we get rid of those traitors first so that they won't fight with us for the human king's body? A figure at the level of the Lord of Heaven suggested to Ye Immortal. That's a good suggestion. Ye Immortal nodded. He looked at Heaven Destroyer with a cold glint in his eyes. Then, he said, let's attack first and eliminate the traitors. Yes. Kill. The people from the heavenly palace responded loudly. Then, they circled around the altar in the middle from 2 directions and charged toward Heaven Destroyer. The people from the heavenly palace are about to attack. Get into formation and defend with all your might. Just like before, defend with all your might. A few peak divine master existences shouted. The people from Heaven Destroyer gathered in 2s and 3s. All kinds of defensive secret arts and treasures appeared and formed a tight defense. The people from the Quasi-Saint tribe were still watching coldly from the sidelines. They had no intention of interfering. Swoosh, 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 the people from the heavenly palace attacked. All kinds of attacks flew toward Heaven Destroyer. However, they were all blocked. This time, Heaven Destroyer blocked the attacks from the heavenly palace more easily than before. The main problem was the terrain. Now, their backs were against the metal wall, so they didn't have to worry about the back. And in front of them was the altar again. The people from the heavenly palace could only attack from the left and right sides. Because the terrain was not wide enough, the people from the heavenly palace couldn't completely let go of their hands and feet to maximize their attack power. But their defense was different. The smaller the terrain, the smaller the space for defense, and the more concentrated their defense power was. Another problem was that the Lord of Heaven was missing a lot of people from the heavenly human tribe. The main problem was that 7 of them were killed by Lu Ming. This also had a big impact on the strength of the heavenly palace. Therefore, the people from the heavenly palace attacked more than 10 times consecutively, but the defense of Heaven Destroyer remained firm. Damn it, you only know how to move like a tortoise. That's right. If you have the ability, don't move like a tortoise and fight head-on. Someone from the heavenly palace shouted. However, the people from the Heaven Destroyer naturally wouldn't be fooled by such a low-level provocation. You have a few thousand more people than us, yet you still want to fight head-on? That's right. If you have the ability, fight head-on too. The people from the heavenly human tribe mocked. The people from the heavenly palace had nothing to say and could only attack silently. However, after attacking for more than 10 minutes, they still couldn't break through the defense of Heaven Destroyer. On the other side, Ye Immortal frowned slightly and said, "Okay, stop and retreat." He knew that because of the terrain, even if they attacked for another half an hour, they still wouldn't be able to break through the defense of Heaven Destroyer. Therefore, he simply ordered them to stop. The people from the heavenly palace could only retreat helplessly. If these people from the Quasi-Saint tribe attacked together, they would definitely be able to break through the defense of the traitors. Yi Qiuxian said coldly and glanced at the people from the Quasi-Saint tribe. The leader of the Quasi-Saint tribe smiled faintly and pretended not to see Yi Qiuxian's gaze. Chapter 4690. The people of the heavenly palace retreated to the sides. Boom! Not long after, there was a major change in the situation. The runes on the human king's body had almost been obliterated during this period of time and had become dim and lightless. With a violent rumble, the runes completely disappeared. The 4 limbs, head, and torso of the human king's body had completely fused together, seamlessly fusing together as if they were perfectly intact. Success! Many people's eyes lit up. They wanted to take action, but just as the human king's body was successfully fused, a monstrous pressure spread out and completely enveloped the space within the metal mountain. Everyone was enveloped by this pressure. My cultivation, why is my cultivation dropping? My cultivation is also dropping. What's going on? It's dropping too fast. I've already dropped 2 levels, and I've already dropped 3 levels. The scene was in an uproar as cries of alarm rang out. Whether it was the Heaven Destroyer, the Heavenly Palace, or the Quasi-Saint race, everyone's cultivation was rapidly dropping under this pressure. Lu Ming also felt that his cultivation was constantly being suppressed and falling. 5th level Divine Master, 4th level Divine Master, 3rd level Divine Master. Soon, Lu Ming's cultivation was forcefully suppressed to 1st level Divine Master before it stopped falling. At the same time, Qiuqiu and Gu Mo were also suppressed to 1st level Divine Master. It was not just them. Everyone else was the same. Regardless of how high or low their cultivation had been, their cultivation had now been suppressed to the first layer of the Divine Master realm. The peak Divine Master existences had the most unsightly expressions. Their advantage had always been their cultivation, but now that their cultivation had been suppressed to the same level as the others, their original advantage had been completely nullified. Everyone was bewildered. This is only a temporary suppression. Don't panic. Once we leave this place, your cultivation will naturally recover, Yi Immortal said calmly. Yi Wuchang spoke, his expression calm. In truth, everyone's cultivation had been suppressed to 1st level Divine Master, which was more to his liking. It allowed him to seize the human king's body and increase his strength by a large margin. After a while, everyone calmed down. At this moment, Lu Ming's expression changed. This was because the bronze box that had been submerged in the desolate ring without any movement actually flew out of the desolate ring on its own, flying towards the human king's body. It wasn't just him. Shi, Yi Immortal, Yi Qiuxian, and the youth from the quasi-saint tribe also had a box fly out. The 5 bronze chests flew to the top of the altar and merged with the bronze chest on the altar, becoming a bronze chest that was several times larger. Rumble. At this moment, the ground also underwent a shocking change. The altar continued to expand and the top of the altar became flat. Finally, it turned into a battle platform. As for the bronze chest and the human king's body, they flew into the air and floated there. Many people's eyes were burning. They wanted to make a move, but the human king's body was still emitting strong fluctuations. They could not get close at all. What's going on? Could it be that the human king's corporeal body still has its own consciousness, and outsiders cannot obtain it? Doesn't that mean it's different from what the bronze chest said? Many people were discussing this matter. Many people were disappointed. If that was really the case, this trip would have been in vain. The dream of using the human king's body to suppress the ancient times would also be shattered. However, at this moment, the huge bronze chest started to glow and a line of words appeared on it. To obtain the human king's body, one must be the one with the greatest talent and potential. Seeing this line of words, everyone's eyes lit up. How do we determine who is the one with the greatest talent and potential? Someone asked. It's very simple. We can determine it after a competition. That's why your cultivation is suppressed to the 1st level of the Divine Master realm. The best way to determine talent and potential is through a battle of the same level. The one who comes in first will be able to take away the human king's body. Otherwise, no matter how high one's cultivation is, without the recognition of the human king's body, one will not be able to take away the human king's body. The human king's body still has the last heart. However, it's very difficult to obtain the last heart. Only those with heaven-defying talent and potential can obtain it in the future. A few sentences appeared on the bronze chest consecutively. Strongest in a battle of the same level. At the scene, everyone's gaze involuntarily turned to Lu Ming and Yi Qiuxian. Lu Ming and Yi Qiuxian were the strongest sky prides in the primitive universe. Whether it was in a battle of the same level or in terms of talent and potential, no one was on par with the two of them. Could it be that the human king's body would fall into the hands of one of them? Especially Lu Ming, who was even stronger than Yi Qiuxian in the battle of the Taishang Immortal City. Could it be that the human king's body would ultimately fall into Lu Ming's hands? Many people on the Heaven Destroyer's side were overjoyed. This way, Lu Ming's chances of obtaining the human king's body would be very high. On the Heavenly Palace's side, some people had ugly expressions. They were also worried that Lu Ming would obtain the human king's body. However, those who knew the true identity of the Yi Immortal were overjoyed. With the Yi Immortal around, who could be a match for the Yi Immortal in a battle of the same level? Interesting. The young leader of the Quasi-Saint tribe muttered. His eyes were filled with intense battle intent. How will the competition be held? Someone else asked. It's very simple. 2-on-2 battles. The winner will continue to accept the challenge of the next person. Remember, each person only has one chance to go up on the stage. 2 more sentences appeared on the bronze box. These rules, many people's faces darkened. Their minds raced. The bronze box's 2 short sentences revealed that the rules weren't simple. 2-on-2 battles. The winner would continue to accept the challenge of the next person. This was equivalent to a battle of attrition. In this way, top geniuses like Lu Ming and Yi Qiuxian were no longer confident in winning. No matter how strong they were, their strength would eventually be exhausted and they would be worn down by the battle of attrition. This time, it was the Heaven Destroyer's turn to have ugly expressions. This was because the number of people on the Heaven Destroyer's side was much smaller than the Heavenly Palace's side. A battle of attrition was extremely disadvantageous for them. On the other hand, the people on the Heavenly Palace's side were smiling. No matter how strong that Lu Ming is, he will be worn down to death. Everyone, there are many strong people among the Lord of Heaven. They might not be much weaker than Lu Ming. This time, the human king's body will definitely belong to the Heavenly Palace. The Heavenly Palace is the true master of the primitive universe. The people of the Heavenly Palace were overjoyed. So, are there any restrictions on the battle stage? Can we kill the opponent? Someone else asked. The specific rules are very simple. If you leave the battle stage, you will lose. Also, you can't use weapons or treasures. Everything else is up to you. Another sentence appeared on the bronze box. Many people narrowed their eyes. This sentence was very simple. There were no restrictions on the battle stage. They could kill the opponent. If they left the battle stage, they would lose. In other words, it was the same whether they fled or were sent flying out of the battle stage. At this time, the battle stage changed again. 3 stairs extended out. Chapter 4691. On the metal battle platform, there were 3 stairs extending out. One extended to the Heaven Destroyer, one extended to the Heavenly Palace, and the last one extended to the Quasi-Saint tribe. This made many people from the Heavenly Palace very unhappy. What did the battle platform mean? Did it mean that the Quasi-Saint tribe and the Heavenly Palace were on equal footing? Begin. Only those who ascend the stairs are qualified to participate in the battle. Another sentence appeared on the bronze chest, and then there was no more sound. I'll go first. An expert from the Heavenly Palace stepped forward and stepped on the stairs. This was an expert from the Blood Clan, one of the top 10 races. His whole body was covered in bloody light, and 2 blood-red wings extended from his back. His eyes were frightening. However, before he could take 2 steps, he seemed to have suffered a heavy blow. His body retreated rapidly and was blasted off the battle platform. Can't go up? Everyone was shocked. It seems that only those who have reached a certain level of strength can step on the battle platform. Not everyone is qualified to fight. Someone said. It seems that's true. I wonder how strong you have to be able to go up. Let me try. Another person from the Heavenly Palace stepped forward and stepped on the stairs. However, his situation was not much better than the previous Blood Clan member. He was blasted off the battle platform after a few steps. Then, a few more people from the Heavenly Palace tried, but none of them could step on the battle platform. In the end, 6 people tried in a row, but all of them failed. When it was the 7th person, a 10-winged angel from the Angel Clan successfully stepped on the battle platform. Roy is glaring at him. It seems that only the top geniuses can step on the battle platform. The people from the Heavenly Palace discussed animatedly. This middle-aged Roy was originally a 9th-level God Lord, a 10-winged angel. In the angel race, this level of talent was already at the apex. Who will fight with me? Roy stood on the battle platform and looked down at the people from the Heaven Destroyer. Needless to say, the people from the Heavenly Palace naturally would not go up to fight with him. His only opponent was the Heaven Destroyer. I'll take you on. On the Heaven Destroyer's side, a figure stepped forward and landed on the stairs. Step by step, he walked up and finally stepped onto the platform. After seeing how 6 people from the Heavenly Palace had been defeated in a row, those on the Heaven Destroyer who weren't strong enough naturally wouldn't go forward. Even if they did, they would be blasted down. Therefore, those who took action were all people with top-notch talent. That man's name was Hao Ji. He was a descendant of a primitive god spirit. He had a thick primitive god spirit blood pulse. Although he was not a pure-blooded primitive god spirit, his battle power was still very strong. Boom! Without any superfluous words, Hoggy and Roy clashed. Both of their cultivations were suppressed to the first level of the Divine Lord realm, so there was not much difference in their combat power. The two exchanged more than 200 moves, and in the end, Hao Ji came out on top, sending Roy flying out of the stage with a single move. Heaven Destroyer won the first battle. I'll deal with him. Just as Roy was defeated, another figure rushed out from the Heavenly Palace and stepped onto the stairs. The stairs did not obstruct him at all, and he stepped onto the stage in a few steps. This person was also an angel, and his entire body was covered in dense holy light. Whoosh! 12 wings extended from his back. Hao Ji's expression changed drastically. This person was actually a 12-winged angel. A 12-winged angel was practically the apex of the angel race's talent. Lu Ming's old opponent, Gabbert, was also a 12-winged angel. However, Gabbert had a fortuitous encounter in Taisheng Immortal City and evolved his Angel King bloodline. However, he had been crippled by Lu Ming in Taisheng Immortal City. Hao Ji, don't force yourself if you can't win. Rush out of the stage and admit defeat. Someone on the Heaven Destroyer's side shouted. I'll exhaust a portion of his strength before retreating. Hao Ji transmitted back. He was unwilling to admit defeat without even fighting. He had to exhaust a portion of his opponent's strength before admitting defeat. At the very least, he could build a foundation for the people who would fight later. Heaven Destroyer's side had fewer people to begin with. If they did not fight with all their strength, they would have no chance. Kill. The 12-winged angel directly attacked. His 12 wings flashed, and his body charged toward Hao Ji like a bolt of white lightning. His angelic sword turned into 12 sword lights and slashed at Hao Ji. Hao Ji's expression changed, and he tried his best to resist. However, he had already exhausted a lot of his divine power in the previous battle. Now that the two's attacks collided, he was immediately pushed back. The 12-winged angel would not miss this opportunity. He flapped his wings, and angel feathers appeared. Each angel feather was an extremely sharp sword. Whoosh! 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 Hundreds of swords flew toward Hao Ji. Hao Ji could not dodge at all. His body was pierced by dozens of sword lights and turned into a sieve. With a plop, he fell on the stage, no longer showing any signs of life. Hao Ji, damn it! Many people on the Heaven Destroyer roared. A powerful God Lord had fallen just like that. It was a huge loss for the Heaven Destroyer. I'll go kill him. Leave this birdman to me. I'll tear him apart. Many people roared, wanting to kill their way to the stage. All of you, remember this. If you don't have the confidence to escape, don't force it. Just rush out of the stage and admit defeat. At this moment, Lion spoke, his eyes bloodshot. He had a good relationship with Hao Ji. That's right. We Heaven Destroyer have very few people to begin with. If one of us dies, we won't be able to get the body of another God Lord. How are we going to resist the Heavenly Palace? Another peak-level Divine Master spoke. Everyone nodded. Indeed, Hao Ji was too stubborn just now. He had already consumed a lot of his divine power in the battle with Roy, and he did not have much divine power left. His opponent was a 12-winged angel, and the difference was too great, so he was killed in one go. If he had rushed out of the stage from the beginning, he might have been able to save his life. "Leave this guy to me." A middle-aged man in golden armor stepped out from the sky exterminating troop. He walked towards the fighting ring and got onto it easily. Then, he waved his hand and put Hao Ji's body into his storage ring. "Dragon? Hee, I haven't eaten dragon meat in a long time. I'll kill you and bring your body back for a good taste." The 12-winged angel sneered, revealing a cold fighting spirit. "You'll be the one to die." "Roar!" shouted the burly man in golden armor. His dragon roared and his body started to change. In the end, a golden dragon appeared on the fighting stage. "That's a 9-clawed dragon." Lu Ming's eyes widened in surprise. Back then, he had met the Dragon Princess and several other 9-clawed dragons on the Dragon Mother planet. He had thought that they were the only 9-clawed dragons left in the universe. He did not expect that there would be a God Lord 9-clawed dragon in the Heaven Destroyer. When the dragon race was wiped out, there were still many powerful dragons scattered around and escaped. The one in front of him was probably one of them. Chapter 4692. The 9-clawed dragon's 9 dragon claws were covered in a golden divine light. They looked terrifyingly sharp. With a dragon roar, the 9-clawed dragon pounced on the 12-winged angel. The two of them engaged in a fierce battle. This was a battle between the strongest talents of the two races. The 9-clawed dragon was the most powerful dragon of the dragon race. The 12-winged angel was also the most powerful angel. This was a battle between the two races. This battle was extremely intense. At the beginning, the two of them were evenly matched. They exchanged over 100 blows. However, after over 100 blows, the 9-clawed dragon clearly had the upper hand. The 9-clawed dragon continued to unleash its divine dragon's secret technique, forcing the 12-winged angel to retreat. "Kill!" The 9-clawed divine dragon let out a long roar as its dragon claws grabbed onto the 12-winged angel's wings. With a forceful tug, it tore off the angel's wings. Blood stained the sky and feathers flew everywhere. "Arg! You are courting death." The 12-winged angel let out a painful howl as he slashed out with all his might, striking the 9-clawed divine dragon's body. However, the 9-clawed dragon's defense was extremely strong. Although the 9-clawed dragon's battle sword tore through its scales, it didn't cause any fatal damage. The 9-clawed dragon counterattacked. Its 9 dragon claws tore the 12-winged angel apart and killed him. A 12-winged angel fell just like that. It seems that the dragon race is stronger than the angel race. I guess the dragon race is one of the top 10 races. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Bam! The 9-clawed dragon threw the angel's body off the platform. Then, its body glowed. It was seizing the time to heal. "Humph! I will kill him." With a cold snort and a flash of demonic light, a burly figure rushed onto the platform. This was an expert of the demon race. Obviously, the heavenly human race had let the other races take the lead to exhaust the power of the Heaven Destroyer. This way, the heavenly human race could conserve their strength. As soon as the experts of the demon race stepped onto the stage, they launched an attack, not giving the 9-clawed dragon a chance to recover. The two of them engaged in an intense battle. However, this demon expert was not as strong as the 12-winged angel from before. He only came up because he saw that the 9-clawed dragon was severely exhausted and wanted to take advantage of the situation. Unfortunately, he had kicked a steel plate. Even though the 9-clawed dragon was severely exhausted, its battle strength was still incomparably powerful. After a fierce battle of about 100 moves, it heavily injured the demon expert. The demon race expert was horrified. He desperately rushed down the battle platform, and only then did he escape with his life. In this match, the 9-clawed dragon won again, while the Heaven Destroyer won 2 consecutive victories. Amitabha. A Buddhist chant resounded as a bald middle-aged man stepped onto the fighting ring. This was a powerhouse from the Buddhist tribe. His entire body was golden, as if he was made of gold. He and the 9-clawed dragon seemed to reflect each other. Behind his head, there was a layer of Buddhist light, sacred and peaceful. The 9-clawed dragon frowned. It felt a terrible pressure and danger from the opponent. I admit defeat in this battle. The moment the 9-clawed dragon spoke, its body rushed down the battle platform. The powerhouse from the Buddhist tribe did not stop it, allowing the 9-clawed dragon to successfully rush down the battle platform. The 9-clawed dragon had exhausted too much energy in the previous 2 battles and was almost at its limit. It knew very well that even if it forced itself to fight, it would not be able to exhaust too much of its opponent's energy. Instead, it would put itself in danger, so it simply admitted defeat. I'll take him on. On the side of the Heaven Destroyer, a person stepped forward and stepped onto the battle platform. A human. Lu Ming could tell at a glance that this person was a pure human. This person looked like he was in his 30s. He was very young, but his actual age was probably not too old. After the rise of Tang Feng in the Flying Phoenix clan, they focused on nurturing the younger generation. In the past dozens of stellar years, the Heaven Destroyer had given birth to many powerful young talents. Among them, there were many human powerhouses. This person was one of them. Sky severing 9 blades. The human powerhouse grabbed the air and formed a battle blade with divine power, slashing toward the powerhouse from the Buddhist tribe. The blade light pierced through the air like thunder and fire. The powerhouse from the Buddhist tribe was not in a hurry. His body was covered in a dazzling golden light as he used the Buddhist hand seal to fight the enemy. The 2 exchanged hundreds of blows fiercely and finally ended in a draw. After that, new powerhouses from the Heaven Destroyer and the Heavenly Palace stepped onto the battle platform. Just like this, the 2 sides exchanged blows as more and more powerhouses stepped onto the battle platform and continued to fight. Those who could step onto the battle platform were all geniuses with strong combat strength. Their cultivation was suppressed to the first level of the Divine Lord realm, so almost no one could defeat them. When one side won, the other side would immediately send a new powerhouse to the battle platform, not giving the other side any chance to recover. The most powerful person could only achieve 3 consecutive victories at most before being defeated due to exhaustion of energy. Of course, this was also the reason why some of the top powerhouses from both sides had not yet stepped onto the battle platform. For example, Lu Ming, Tang Jun, Shi, Shi, and so on. The top powerhouses from the Heavenly Palace had not stepped onto the battle platform either. Under these rules, no one was confident that they could defeat the other side. If they stepped onto the battle platform first, they would be exhausted by the other side. Therefore, the more powerful a powerhouse was, the more they had to stay until the end. They had to step onto the stage last and win in one fell swoop. The best strategy was to let the weaker ones go up first to exhaust the other side's strength. In the blink of an eye, 7 days had passed, and the 2 sides had fought more than 100 battles. As the battles went on, the people from the Heaven Destroyer became more and more serious. If this continued, it would be very disadvantageous for them because they had fewer and fewer people who could step onto the battle platform. Although the Heaven Destroyer had about 4,500 Divine Lords, only 200 of them could step onto the battle platform and were qualified to fight. On the other hand, the Heavenly Palace had even more people. There were at least 300 of them, maybe even more. If this continued, before the top powerhouses from the Heavenly Palace could step onto the stage, Lu Ming, Tang Jun, and the others from the Heaven Destroyer would step onto the stage. No matter how strong Lu Ming, Tang Jun, and the others were, they would be exhausted by the other side's continuous battles. In the end, they would have no chance of winning against the top powerhouses from the Heavenly Palace. If this continued, the Heaven Destroyer's defeat was almost certain. However, they had no choice but to continue fighting. The people from the Heavenly Palace seemed to have thought of this as well. They were relaxed and smiled. The great battle continued. After one battle after another, the number of people who could step onto the stage on the Heaven Destroyer's side dwindled. 150, 130, 180, 50. In the end, the Heaven Destroyer's side estimated that there were less than 20 people who could step onto the stage. Although many people from the Heavenly Palace had been defeated in the battles, they estimated that there were at least 100 people from the Heavenly Palace who could step onto the stage. Moreover, they were all powerhouses. This can't go on. If this continues, we'll definitely lose. On the Heaven Destroyer's side, some powerhouses gathered to discuss. Lu Ming, Tang Jun, Shi, Lion, and the others were all present. The one who spoke just now was a powerhouse from the Heaven and Earth clan. Chapter 4693. There are too many people on the Heavenly Palace's side. There are at least 100 people who can participate in the battle, especially Yi Qiuxian and that young man, Yi Immortal. They are absolutely powerful. In addition, there are also the 4 strongest people of the Heavenly Palace, the Lord of Heaven. Another old man from the Moke race said. He was also a top expert. If we continue to fight, we will definitely lose. Perhaps we can get help from other people to consume the power of the Heavenly Palace. At this time, Tang Jun said. Other people? The others were somewhat puzzled. Heaven Destroyer, how could there be other people helping them? That's right, it's the Quasi-Saint race. Tang Jun said. Quasi-Saint race dares to help us? Do they dare to go against the Heavenly Palace? The others were even more puzzled. Through this incident, we can see that the Quasi-Saint race is obviously not on the same side as the Heavenly Palace. When they attacked us previously, the Quasi-Saint race didn't make a move. Previously, they even brought the head of the human king's body. Obviously, the Quasi-Saint race is very ambitious and wants to monopolize the human king's body. Tang Jun said. But, where did the Quasi-Saint race get the guts to go against the Heavenly Palace? Although they have always been sitting on the throne of the top 10 races, they are still only one of the top 10 races. That expert from the Moke race said. I once heard from my father that the Quasi-Saint race is not simple. The hidden power behind them is definitely beyond everyone's imagination. They have always been very low-key and might have a big scheme. They might not be afraid of the Heavenly Palace. Tang Jun said. What? Lu Ming, Shi, Lion, and the others were all shocked. In their impression, the Quasi-Saint race was only one of the top 10 races. Now that they heard Tang Jun's words, the Quasi-Saint race actually dared to go against the Heavenly Palace. The Quasi-Saint race actually had such strength? However, Tang Feng's strength was unfathomable and he knew many unknown secrets. What he said shouldn't be wrong. It seemed that the structure of the universe was complicated beyond everyone's imagination. What should we do to make the Quasi-Saint race take action? She asked. It's very simple. From now on, we just don't send anyone out. Tang Jun said. Not sending anyone? She revealed a puzzled expression. However, Lu Ming and the others already understood. If the Quasi-Saint tribe is determined to obtain the human king's body, then they will definitely not let the heavenly human race obtain it. If we don't send people up, the Quasi-Saint tribe will definitely not sit still and send people to take action. Lion explained. After the discussion, everyone agreed that they would not send anyone else to attack. On the battle platform, there was a heavenly human tribe powerful being. After defeating one of the Heaven Destroyer members, he was ready to accept the challenge of the next powerful being. But after waiting for a while, no one went up on stage. The people from the Heavenly Palace looked puzzled. Why isn't Heaven Destroyer on stage? Could it be that there was no one else who could go up? That's not right. Lu Ming, Tang Jun, Shi, Lion, and other top experts haven't gone up yet. Yi Immortal's eyes flickered, and he glanced at the Quasi-Saint tribe thoughtfully. The heavenly human on the battle platform was not alarmed, but happy instead. He seized the time to recover. Soon, 10 minutes passed, and still no one went up on Heaven Destroyer. If no one goes up on stage for half an hour, it will be determined that the person on the battle platform is the final winner. At this time, a sentence appeared on the bronze box. Everyone was shocked. If no one went up on stage for half an hour, the winner would belong to the side on the battle platform. What's going on? Why isn't Heaven Destroyer's member going up? On the contrary, the people from the Quasi-Saint tribe were somewhat anxious. Their original plan was to let the Heavenly Palace and Heaven Destroyer fight first. When both sides were injured, they could clean up the mess and easily seize the human king's body. Originally, everything was going according to their plan. But now, Heaven Destroyer's member actually made a move. More than 10 minutes had passed. If no one went up on stage in another 10 minutes, the human king's body would belong to the heavenly human tribe. This was not the result they wanted. Therefore, many people from the Quasi-Saint tribe were very unhappy. Young Master Tsangxiong, what should we do? Someone asked the leader of the Quasi-Saint tribe. Wait a little longer. The leader of the Quasi-Saint tribe said. His name was Tsangxiong. Time passed by, second by second. Soon, more than 10 minutes passed. There were only 2 minutes left before the 30-minute deadline. The people from the Heavenly Palace's side were smiling more and more brightly. And many people in Heaven Destroyer were already somewhat anxious. However, Lu Ming, Tang Jun, Lion, and the others were still calm. The Quasi-Saint tribe was the most anxious. Damn it, Heaven Destroyer's member still hasn't made a move. Don't they want the human king's body? If this continues, the human king's body will fall into the hands of the heavenly human tribe. Some people from the Quasi-Saint tribe were anxiously discussing. They were very unhappy with Heaven Destroyer's member. They want to force us to make a move and exhaust the power of the heavenly palace. Tsangxiong said indifferently. His face was still calm. They are dreaming. What a good plan. A person from the Quasi-Saint tribe shouted angrily. Then let the human king's body fall into the hands of the heavenly human tribe? Another person retorted. The previous person was speechless. Young Master Tsangxiong, what should we do now? Finally, everyone's eyes looked at Tsangxiong. Of course we make a move. Tsangxiong said. If we make a move, won't we be helping Heaven Destroyer? The others said. Among the three parties, Heaven Destroyer and we are the weaker party. Heaven Destroyer is also very clear about this point. If we don't join forces, we won't be able to contend against the Heavenly Palace. Therefore, we want to reap the benefits, but the other party isn't that stupid. We will definitely make a move. But it doesn't matter. In the end, I will throw this problem back to Heaven Destroyer. Tsangxiong laughed and then ordered people to make a move. Then let me do it. A middle-aged man from the Quasi-Saint tribe said. After saying that, he stepped forward, stepped on the stairs, and arrived on the battle stage. The Quasi-Saint tribe's people on the battle stage stunned many people from the heavenly human tribe. Then, they were furious. What are you doing? Are you going against our heavenly human tribe? How dare you, Quasi-Saint tribe? You are offending your superiors. Some people from the heavenly human tribe shouted. However, the Quasi-Saint tribe's people just smiled casually and ignored them. The Quasi-Saint tribe's expert on the battle stage directly launched an attack. The red mark between the eyebrows of the Quasi-Saint tribe's expert shone and a terrifying energy pervaded out. It was incomparably hot, many times hotter than the core of a star. Every move of the Quasi-Saint tribe's expert contained a terrifying temperature as if he wanted to destroy everything. The heavenly human tribe's expert didn't dare to be careless at all because his supreme power of heaven was actually on the verge of being destroyed by the opponent's scorching energy. He used all his strength to resist the opponent's attack. Both sides exchanged hundreds of moves. In the end, the heavenly human tribe's expert was defeated by the Quasi-Saint tribe's expert and was sent flying out of the battle stage. Chapter 4694. The Quasi-Saint tribe defeated the celestial race's experts, which made many celestial races' faces turn ugly. In the eyes of the celestial race, the Quasi-Saint tribe was no different from the other top 10 races. They were all ants and slaves that they could order around at will. But now, the slaves actually dared to rebel against them and even defeated them. This was unbearable for them. Rebellion, this is really rebellion. The Quasi-Saint tribe is rebelling. They deserve to die. They should all be suppressed and executed by 1,000 cuts. In my opinion, the Quasi-Saint tribe doesn't need to exist anymore. After leaving here, we'll send an army to annihilate the Quasi-Saint tribe. Many celestial race members growled and looked coldly at the Quasi-Saint tribe. However, the Quasi-Saint tribe looked calm and unafraid of the celestial race's threat. Enough. Ye Immortal shouted coldly, and the celestial race members shut their mouths. It seems that the Quasi-Saint tribe is also determined to get the human king's body. Ye Immortal said indifferently and looked at the leader of the Quasi-Saint tribe, Zhang Qiong. Naturally, everyone is tempted by a treasure like the human king's body. The Quasi-Saint tribe also wants to study it and see what's so special about it. Zhang Qiong smiled. In that case, the Quasi-Saint tribe will have to bear the consequences. Ye Immortal's voice turned cold. You don't have to threaten me. I know the celestial race's background very well. You can scare others, but it's useless to scare me. Zhang Qiong smiled faintly. Ye Immortal's eyes flickered with cold light. He said to the celestial race members, "Who's going up?" "I'll go and kill the Quasi-Saint tribe's scum." A celestial race burly man stepped forward, walked up the stairs, and stepped onto the battle stage. Many people recognized that he was an extremely powerful Lord of Heaven of the celestial race. Although he wasn't as powerful as the strongest Lord of Heaven of the celestial race, he wasn't far off. Even though he was suppressed to the first level of the Divine Master Realm, his battle strength was still extremely powerful. This Lord of Heaven was called Yechu Qinglong. Boom! A powerful aura burst out from Yechu Qinglong's body. Two kinds of powerful heavenly forces circled around his body, entangling with each other and emitting a terrifying pressure. He took a step forward and charged toward the Quasi-Saint tribe's expert like a bolt of lightning. The expert from the Quasi-Saint race had a grave expression as he focused his attention on the battle with Yechu Qinglong. However, it was obvious that Yechu Qinglong's battle prowess was stronger, and he completely crushed Yechu Qinglong. In just a few dozen moves, the Quasi-Saint expert was killed by Yechu Qinglong. His blood dyed the battle stage red. He didn't even manage to escape from the battle stage. This is the consequence of offending my heavenly human tribe. Yechu Qinglong's cold voice echoed throughout the place. At this moment, the faces of the people from the Quasi-Saint tribe turned gloomy. Damn it, I gave the celestial race face, but they actually want a yard after taking an inch. Do you really think we're easy to bully? Our Quasi-Saint race is low-key. Don't think that we are weak. I must take revenge for this. Many people from the Quasi-Saint tribe were furious. A middle-aged man from the Quasi-Saint tribe couldn't help but rush onto the battle stage and engage in a fierce battle with Yechu Qinglong. It had to be said that Yechu Qinglong was really strong. Killing the Quasi-Saint tribe's expert just now seemed to have consumed very little of his energy. His battle prowess was still incomparably strong, and he suppressed the Quasi-Saint tribe's expert. In the end, the Quasi-Saint tribe's expert was seriously injured. He had no choice but to rush down the battle stage with all his strength and save his life. Let me. Another person from the Quasi-Saint tribe appeared on the battle stage. This was an old man who was also a peak divine master. His battle prowess was very strong, and he actually fought Yechu Qinglong to a draw. Both sides fought fiercely for thousands of moves. In the end, because both sides were exhausted, it ended in a draw. However, the Quasi-Saint tribe and the heavenly human tribe were already fighting fiercely. Both sides kept sending experts onto the battle stage, and the battle became more and more intense. From time to time, someone would be killed. Although the Quasi-Saint tribe only sent 300 people, they were all at the 6th layer of the Divine Master Realm or above. There were many talented and powerful people. Even if they were suppressed to the 1st layer of the Divine Master Realm, there were still hundreds of them who could step onto the battle stage. The continuous battle between the Quasi-Saint tribe and the Heavenly Human tribe had consumed a lot of energy. The number of Heavenly Human tribe members who could step onto the battle stage was getting fewer and fewer. Young Master Tsangxiong, when should we stop? There are only a dozen people who can step onto the battle stage. An old man from the Quasi-Saint tribe asked Tsangxiong. No hurry. Continue. Tsangxiong said. The Quasi-Saint tribe was still sending experts onto the battle stage. What are these Quasi-Saint tribe doing? Are they crazy? Do they want to injure both sides and benefit the Heaven Destroyer? Someone from the Heavenly Human tribe shouted angrily. However, there was no other way. They could only fight. If no one went up to fight, the Human King's physical body would be obtained by the Quasi-Saint tribe. Just like this, when there were only a few people left from the Quasi-Saint tribe, Tsangxiong opened his mouth and asked the Quasi-Saint tribe to stop fighting. On the battle stage, a Heavenly Human tribe expert stood there, waiting for the others to challenge him. However, as time passed, there was still no one who wanted to fight. It seems that the Quasi-Saint tribe wants to force us to fight. Lion said. They are also very smart. Now that there are not many people left from the Heavenly Human tribe who can fight, we definitely won't give up on fighting for the Human King's physical body. They are certain that we will definitely send someone to fight. Tang Jun also said. This was not a conspiracy. It was an open conspiracy. It was easy for all parties to guess. Previously, the Heaven Destroyer didn't send anyone to fight because their remaining strength was too weak compared to the Heavenly Human tribe. Even if they went up, they would definitely lose. Therefore, they had the confidence to not send anyone up. At that time, the Quasi-Saint tribe had hopes of obtaining the Human King's physical body. Naturally, they couldn't let the Human King's physical body fall into the hands of the Heavenly Human tribe. Therefore, if the Heaven Destroyer didn't send anyone, they would definitely not sit still and send someone up. The current situation was the opposite. Now, there were only a few people left from the Quasi-Saint tribe who could participate in the battle. Their strength was too weak compared to the Heavenly Human tribe. Even if all of them went up, they would definitely not be a match for the Heavenly Human tribe. However, there were still 20 people on the Heaven Destroyer's side. They had hopes of obtaining the final victory. Naturally, they wouldn't let the Heavenly Human tribe obtain the Human King's physical body. Therefore, they had to send someone up. Tsangxiong had long expected this scene. Which one of you is going to fight? Lion looked at the remaining 20 or so people on the Heaven Destroyer who could still fight. Let me do it. An expert from the myriad spirit insect race stepped onto the battle stage, and fought with the Heavenly Human tribe. Almost all the people left on both sides were top-notch experts with incomparably powerful battle prowess. However, their battle prowess was also very close. Neither side could suppress the other. Both sides fought fiercely for a long time. That expert from the myriad spirit insect race barely won, but he had almost exhausted his strength. Therefore, before the next expert from the Heavenly Human tribe went up, he took the initiative to retreat from the battle stage. He knew very well that his strength was almost exhausted. If he waited for the opponent's expert to come up, he might not even be able to escape from the battle stage. Chapter 4695. Just like that, the two sides fought back and forth. Both sides had their share of failures and successes. Those who fought in the end were almost all top-notch experts with similar combat strength. Almost no one could win 2 battles in a row. Every battle consumed a large amount of energy. Gradually, only 6 or 7 people from the Heaven Destroyer could fight. Lu Ming, Tang Jun, Shi, Lion, an expert from the Heaven and Earth race, and 2 other experts. The Heavenly Human race was about the same. They only had 6 or 7 people left who could fight. This battle had reached its final juncture. Boom! An earth-shattering explosion erupted on the battle stage. The two experts used their strongest moves and then both retreated from the battle stage. It was a draw. Leave the next battle to me. The expert from the heaven and earth race stepped forward and onto the battle stage. This person's name was Rongjin, and he was a peak divine lord. Moreover, he was an extremely powerful peak divine lord. Even though he was suppressed to the first tier of the divine lord realm, there were not many people who could match him at the same level. Rongjin, I'll fight you. A cold voice came from the heavenly human race side. Then, a stunningly beautiful woman stepped onto the battle stage. Damning Lord of Heaven. It's damning Lord of Heaven. Many people in the Sky Exterminating Army gasped. It's her. Lu Ming was also shocked. He had not only heard of damning Lord of Heaven, but also seen her. This person was known as one of the strongest Lord of Heaven in the Heavenly Palace. He stood at the peak of the Divine Lord realm. It was said that he had once made all the living beings in an entire galaxy fall into a dream with one move. It was terrifying. The strongest Lord of Heaven of the Heavenly Palace is finally going to fight. Tang Jun muttered with a grave expression. Is the strongest Lord of Heaven of the Heavenly Palace very strong? Lu Ming asked. Very strong, very strong. Among the 4 Heavenly Palace, there are only 4 who can be called the strongest Lord of Heaven. Every one of them was a peerless genius when they were young. They were at the peak of their generation. They suppressed their generation and were also Heavenly Palace's daughters. Tang Jun explained. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed slightly. Although it was impossible for such a person to be as strong as Yi Qiuxian when he was young, it was very likely that he would not be weaker than Yi Chu Tianji or Yi Ling Hongya. Even if such a person was suppressed to the first tier of the Divine Master Realm, he would still be incredibly powerful. Big dream. Rongjin muttered with a grave expression. Rongjin, are you sure you want to fight me? You are no match for me. The Great Dream Lord of Heaven said indifferently. His voice was filled with strong confidence in himself. We haven't fought in a long time. Things have changed. I might not lose now. Rongjin sneered. 2 different types of light radiated from his 2 heads. In the end, his body actually separated rapidly into 2. One was yin and one was yang. 2 completely opposite energies burst forth and charged toward the Great Dream Lord of Heaven. However, the Great Dream Lord of Heaven stood there motionlessly. He had no intention of dodging or blocking, allowing Rongjin's attack to land on his body. When Rongjin's attack landed on the Great Dream Lord of Heaven, his body shattered like a phantom and dissipated into the air. Rongjin's body suddenly changed. His 2 bodies burst forth with powerful energy and frantically charged outward. What's going on? Many people from Heaven Destroyer were dumbfounded. In their eyes, the Great Dream Lord of Heaven was slowly approaching Rongjin from one side. Rongjin's attack was aimed at the air in front of him. It was as if he didn't see the approaching Great Dream Lord of Heaven. In the end, Rongjin burst out with all his strength. The energy rushed in all directions, forcing the Great Dream Lord of Heaven to take a few steps back. It's a dream. What a terrifying dream. Rongjin actually fell into it unknowingly. Lion said with a solemn expression. He actually fell into a dream? The others were also shocked, including Lu Ming. This Great Dream Lord of Heaven was really terrifying. He could actually make people fall into a dream unknowingly. It was simply impossible to guard against it. The key point was that the target was a top expert like Rongjin. Even he couldn't avoid it. However, Rongjin was a top expert after all. He wasn't completely defenseless. When he missed his attack, he knew that he had fallen into the trap. He burst out with all his strength and launched an indiscriminate attack to buy himself time. His 2 bodies unleashed 2 completely different types of energy. They collided with each other, producing destructive energy that rushed in all directions. At the same time, he was also trying his best to break out of Great Dream Lord of Heaven's dream. It's unnecessary. Great Dream Lord of Heaven said coldly. Her body was shrouded in a layer of mysterious light. At the same time, there were layers of mysterious waves that constantly rushed towards Rong Jin. This kind of wave could aggravate the dream. In the face of such an attack, Rong Jin could only unleash an indiscriminate attack to prevent Great Dream Lord of Heaven from getting close. However, this method consumed a lot of divine power. Soon, Rong Jin was sweating profusely. His breathing became heavy. Obviously, his strength was severely depleted. Whoosh! At this time, Great Dream Lord of Heaven suddenly accelerated. Her body was like a sharp sword, rushing towards Rong Jin. Oh no, Rong Jin's attack has weakened. Great Dream Lord of Heaven is about to launch her final attack. Lion exclaimed. Before Lion's voice fell, Great Dream Lord of Heaven's attack was close to Rong Jin. In her hand, 3 types of supreme heavenly energy burst out. Yes, Great Dream Lord of Heaven controlled 3 types of supreme heavenly energy. The 3 types of supreme heavenly energy converged into a sharp sword and pierced towards Rong Jin. It broke through Rong Jin's defense like a hot knife through butter and pierced towards his glabella. On Heaven Destroyer's side, everyone's heart couldn't help but be on edge. If it really pierced the glabella, it would be dangerous. At the critical moment, Rong Jin let out a loud roar. His body abruptly shifted to the side, and he managed to avoid a fatal blow. However, Dream Sky Monarch's swordlight slashed diagonally, almost splitting Rong Jin's body into 2 halves. In the end, Rong Jin avoided his vitals but was seriously injured. However, this blow woke Rong Jin up. Time, space. Rong Jin roared. His 2 bodies spun rapidly and turned into 2 vortexes, rushing towards Great Dream Lord of Heaven. It's the power of time and space. Lu Ming was shocked. What Rong Jin was using now was the power of time and space. Moreover, judging from its power, it was actually stronger than the power of time and space of time of the Spirit Mouse. The talent of the Heaven and Earth tribe was really terrifying. They could use 2 completely different types of power. Previously, it was heavy and light, high and low, yin and yang, cold and hot, and other different types of power. Now, they were even using the power of time and space. The 2 types of power turned into a terrifying attack, enveloping Great Dream Lord of Heaven as if to send Great Dream Lord of Heaven into an eternal unknown place. Great Dream Lord of Heaven roared and attacked with all her might. A layer of terrifying domain shrouded the battle platform. This was her Great Dream domain. Obviously, Great Dream Lord of Heaven had also raised her battle strength to the extreme to fight against Rong Jin. Great Dream domain and the power of time and space clashed. The battle platform was in chaos. Chapter 4696. Rong Jin and the Great Dream Lord of Heaven fought for about 10 minutes. Suddenly, Rong Jin's vortex trembled violently, and the space-time energy collapsed. Rong Jin's 2 bodies reappeared and merged back into one. He was sent flying out of the arena, spitting out mouthfuls of blood. Rong Jin had been defeated. His face was pale. Rong Jin, are you all right? Lion rushed over to help him up. I'm fine. Go, she's exhausted. Defeat her in one go. Rong Jin shouted. I'll do it. Kang. The sound of a sword rang out as a very young man stepped onto the fighting ring. It's Tang Jian. Someone whispered. Tang Jian, Tang Zhao's personal disciple, was a powerful sword genius. It was said that his real name was not Tang Jian, but he had changed it to Tang Jian. When Tang Jian stepped onto the arena, every pore of his body was filled with powerful sword energy. He did not want to be enveloped by the Lord of Heaven's power. At the same time, he did not hesitate. As soon as he stepped onto the arena, he launched a fierce attack. He did not want to give the Lord of Heaven any chance to recover. Indeed, as Rong Jin said, Great Dream Heavenly Lord's consumption was extremely great. His Great Dream power was also not as strong as before. Although Tang Jian's strength was slightly weaker than Rong Jin's, the Lord of Heaven could not do anything to Tang Jian. Instead, he was forced to retreat. However, the Great Dream Lord of Heaven was worthy of being one of the strongest Lords of Heaven in the Heavenly Palace. He was top-notch in all aspects. Even if he was at a disadvantage, he could still find opportunities to fight back. The two exchanged hundreds of blows. In the end, Tang Jian used his strongest attack to send the Lord of Heaven flying out of the arena. However, he was also severely injured. He could not fight anymore and retreated from the arena. This made the Heaven Destroyer's people feel heavy. The strongest Lord of Heaven was already so strong. The Heavenly Palace had 3 more like him. There was also Yi Immortal and Yi Qiuxin. I'll handle the rest. Lu Ming, I'll leave Yi Qiuxin to you. As for the others, we'll do our best to deal with them. Lion said to Lu Ming. In their eyes, the greatest threat to the heavenly human tribe was Yi Qiuxin. Although Yi Qiuxin's current cultivation level was lower than theirs, everyone was suppressed to the first tier of the Divine Master Realm. If they were to fight at the same level, they would definitely not be a match for Yi Qiuxin. In the Heaven Destroyer, only Lu Ming could defeat Yi Qiuxin. As long as they took care of the other people in the Heavenly Palace, they would be able to defeat Lu Ming and Yi Qiuxin. The fact that the Yi Immortal was able to command the heavenly human tribe and activate the power of the human king body was enough to show that the Yi Immortal was also very powerful. However, they did not think that Yi Immortal would be stronger than Yi Qiuxin. Yi Qiuxin was someone who had mastered the perfect power of heaven. In the history of the heavenly human tribe, there had only been 3 such people. How could there be another one? Perhaps he had mastered some kind of powerful force. For example, she could also activate the power of the human king body. However, it did not mean that he could fight against Lu Ming. The Yi Immortal might have a high status, but his combat power was definitely not as strong as Yi Qiuxin's. However, Lu Ming frowned slightly as he looked at the Yi Immortal. For some reason, he felt that this person was not simple and gave him an unusual sense of pressure. Lion stepped forward and stepped onto the fighting ring. Lion, I'll take you on. A burly man from the heavenly human tribe stepped forward and stepped onto the fighting ring. Everyone recognized that he was also a terrifying expert. He was as famous as the Great Dream Lord of Heaven. He was one of the 4 strongest Lords of Heaven in the Heavenly Palace. His name was Exterminator, the Lord of Heaven. Very good, Exterminator. It's been a long time since we last fought. Let me see how much you've improved. Lion grinned, revealing a row of snow-white fangs. His body swelled rapidly as he transformed into his original form. He then charged towards the Lord of Heaven. The Lord of Heaven also emitted 3 types of supreme power of heaven. The 3 types of supreme power of heaven formed 3 sabers. Each saber exuded a destructive power. He grabbed one of them and slashed at Lion. Boom! Their attacks collided and an earth-shattering explosion erupted. The 2 of them retreated slightly before charging towards each other again. It was a head-on battle. They kept exchanging blows. It was a combination of speed and power. Their speed was terrifyingly fast. Soon, the 2 of them had exchanged dozens of blows. However, there was no clear winner. Their strength was on par. Moreover, their fighting styles were similar. They both fought in a straightforward manner and killed their opponents head-on. Lion had fought with the Great Dream Lord of Heaven before. However, he wasn't a match for the Great Dream Lord of Heaven. He had to join forces with others to fight against the Great Dream Lord of Heaven. It wasn't a difference in strength. It was because he was restrained. Being restrained by the Great Dream power, he couldn't unleash his full strength. Lion could only unleash his full strength when fighting against an opponent like the Lord of Heaven. The battle between the 2 of them became more and more intense. However, they were old opponents. They had fought more than once in the past. They knew each other very well. Therefore, it was difficult to determine the winner in a short time. Dozens of blows, hundreds of blows, 200 blows, the two of them exchanged thousands of blows. Their speed became slower and slower. In the end, they often needed a few minutes to prepare before they could attack. This was because their strength was almost exhausted. They had to prepare for a long time before they could attack. The two of them stood on the battle platform and stared at each other. Neither of them backed down. Let's call this round a draw. Ye Immortal said below the battle platform. All right, it's a draw. A figure on the Heaven Destroyer's side answered on behalf of Lion. It seems like we can't determine the winner this time. The next time we fight after we recover our full strength, I will definitely take your life. The Lord of Heaven said coldly. Take my life? Hee hee, it's not certain who will take whose life. Lion sneered. Then, the two of them stopped talking and turned to leave the battle platform. Swoosh. As soon as the Lord of Heaven left the battle platform, another person stepped onto the battle platform. It was still one of the 4 strongest Lord of Heaven in the heavenly palace. Leave this one to me, she said and stepped onto the battle platform. Boom. She stepped forward. His body was burly and filled with terrifying strength. This aura gave Lu Ming the illusion that he was looking at the myriad gods. It's a pity that the myriad gods, Shao Qin, and the others aren't here. Otherwise, we would definitely have the advantage. A thought flashed through Lu Ming's mind. If the myriad gods, Xian Yanqing, and the others were here, they would definitely have a few more top-notch experts. They would definitely not be weaker than the Lord of Heaven. Bam! Bam! She stepped on the ground and charged at his opponent at an extremely fast speed. He punched out, causing the void to explode. A vast fist energy crushed toward his opponent. His opponent was not afraid at all. He raised his fist and took the blow head-on. Then, the two of them drifted back. The difference was that she retreated a shorter distance, while his opponent retreated a longer distance. She has the upper hand. He's stronger than the Lord of Heaven. The people of the Heaven Destroyer were overjoyed. The Lord of Heaven of the Heavenly Human Tribe was known as the Lord of Heaven of the Heavenly Human Tribe. In the head-on clash just now, she had clearly gained the upper hand. Chapter 4697. She had great control over his primordial divine power. His primordial divine power had mutated and was much more terrifying than the other primordial divine spirits. Be it in terms of explosiveness or purity, it had reached a shocking level. Kill! She roared. His body rapidly enlarged, emitting a dazzling light. He was like a great sun as he charged towards Lord Pantheon with unparalleled momentum. The Pan-Lord of Heaven was at a disadvantage, but he didn't panic. His face was calm as 3 types of heavenly powers revolved around him. The two figures jumped around the battle stage and fought crazily. At the beginning, she did have the upper hand. With his great power, he took the initiative. On average, she used 6 offensive moves and 4 defensive moves in 10 moves. On the other hand, the Pan-Lord of Heaven only used 4 offensive moves and 6 defensive moves. However, as the two continued to exchange blows, the Pan-Lord of Heaven slowly turned the tables and became more and more courageous. They were now evenly matched. She's experience is far less than the Pan-Lord of Heaven. The Pan-Lord of Heaven is starting to turn the tables with his great battle experience. Tang Jun said in a low voice with a grave expression. Lu Ming also saw some clues. After all, Lord Pantheon was a peak god lord. He had cultivated for many years and was extremely experienced in battle. On the other hand, she was only at the 8th level of the god lord realm, so his battle experience was far less than Lord Pantheon's. Although she's strength was slightly stronger than Lord of Heaven Pantheon's, Lord of Heaven Pantheon's experience was enough to force she to a draw. One was stronger and the other was more experienced. The two of them were locked in battle. The battle stage was filled with their shadows as they exchanged more than 10 blows in an instant. In the end, the two of them were exhausted and their movements became slower. In the end, it was a draw like the lion and the exterminating Lord of Heaven. The other side still has 3 top experts. Many people on the Heaven Destroyer's side had grave expressions. There was one more Lord of Heaven left in the Heavenly Palace. There was also Yi Immortal and Yi Qiuxian. There might be other experts who hadn't gone up yet. However, only Tang Jun and Lu Ming were left on the Heaven Destroyer's side. The situation wasn't good. Lu Ming, leave the last Lord of Heaven to me. Yi Immortal, I will also consume a portion of his energy. I will leave the rest to you. You should have no problem with it. Tang Jun said. Everyone's eyes. If they were at the same level, Lu Ming would definitely be stronger than Yi Qiuxian. He was afraid that Lu Ming would exhaust his energy in advance if. And of Yi Qiuxian. And Yi of Heaven and Lu Ming. Of Yi, of. Lu Ming nodded his head. At this time, he could only nod his head. There was no way out. They could only fight. Who knows, I might be able to defeat the strongest Heaven Monarch and Yi Wuxia together. Tang Jun smiled. Then, he stepped onto the battle stage like an immortal. However, Lu Ming wasn't that confident. Yi Immortal gave him a strong sense of pressure. He felt like he was shrouded by a layer of mysterious power. He couldn't see through it clearly and was unfathomable. Also, if they wanted to obtain the human king's body, their opponents weren't just the Heavenly Palace. They also had to face the Quasi-Saint tribe. Maybe I still have to borrow the strength of the Quasi-Saint tribe. Lu Ming muttered in his heart. As expected, Tang Jun faced off against one of the last strongest Lord of Heaven of the Heavenly Palace, the Lord of Heaven of 100 battles. This Lord of Heaven's battle prowess was extremely terrifying. Moreover, he had rich battle experience. His battle prowess wasn't inferior to the previous 3 strongest Lord of Heaven at all. Unfortunately, he met Tang Jun. Tang Jun's talent was already at the top of the universe. After living 2 lives, her talent had reached a new level. She was even stronger than in her previous life. Moreover, she was in existence at the origin realm in her previous life. In terms of battle experience, how could the Lord of Heaven of 100 battles be compared to an existence at the origin realm? Therefore, the two of them exchanged more than 100 moves. In the end, Tang Jun came out on top and sent the Lord of Heaven of 100 battles flying off the battle stage. Great! Cheers came from the Heaven Destroyer's side. Tang Jun's strength had exceeded everyone's imagination. It was said that there might be another person who could defeat Yi Immortal and pave the way for Lu Ming. This person is Tang Feng's daughter? Yi Immortal's eyes shone brightly as he stared at Tang Jun. That's right. This person is Tang Feng's daughter. She's actually reincarnated. This is very shocking. Has Tang Feng already mastered the power of reincarnation? Beside Yi Immortal, a Lord of Heaven said with a solemn expression. Impossible. It's impossible for him to truly master the power of reincarnation. He probably only obtained a trace of it from the ruins of the universe, just like me, Yi Immortal said. Then, he looked at Yi Qiuxian and said, I'll leave the rest to you. Don't worry. It won't take long to defeat this woman. Yi Qiuxian said confidently. He stepped forward and stepped onto the battle stage. What? It's Yi Qiuxian's turn. At the scene, countless people's eyes narrowed, revealing looks of shock. Heaven Destroyer wasn't the only one who was shocked. The quasi-immortal tribe and even some people from the Heavenly Palace were shocked. They originally thought that Yi Qiuxian would definitely be the last to go up. Now, it should be someone else who went up to exhaust Tang Jun's strength. For example, Yi Immortal. Unexpectedly, Yi Immortal didn't go up. Instead, Yi Qiuxian went up first. What kind of strategy was this? For Extinction Sky Sword Formation. On the battle stage, Yi Qiuxian attacked directly. The perfect power of heaven erupted. For battle swords condensed and revolved around his body. The sword chi was extremely tyrannical. Tang Jun tried his best to resist, but he soon fell into a disadvantageous position. Yi Immortal was indeed very powerful. The perfect power of heaven was boundless. Almost no one in the same generation could defeat him. Even someone like Tang Jun, who had reincarnated and had the experience of his previous life, couldn't resist Yi Qiuxian. Although Yi Qiuxian's experience wasn't as good as Tang Jun's, his talent was too strong. His battle instincts were incomparably powerful. Just like Lu Ming, his battle instincts alone could make up for his lack of experience. In just a few dozen moves, Tang Jun was hit by a move. He coughed up blood and flew back. However, she didn't want to admit defeat. She still wanted to continue fighting. Every move she made with Yi Qiuxian could exhaust a little more of his strength. The battle continued, but Tang Jun was completely at a disadvantage. After another 20 moves, Tang Jun was hit again and almost died. He narrowly avoided the opponent's attack. Tang Jun, admit defeat. There's no need to continue fighting. Leave the rest to me. Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Tang Jun. The others also shouted for Tang Jun to admit defeat. In the end, Tang Jun sighed and rushed out of the battle stage like a bolt of lightning. She had already tried her best. She was seriously injured and it would be very dangerous to continue fighting. After Tang Jun's defeat, many people's gazes fell on Lu Ming. Was the battle between Lu Ming and Yi Qiuxian going to happen again? Lu Ming, come up and fight. Yi Qiuxian shouted. Although he wasn't confident in facing Lu Ming, there was still the Yi Immortal. With the Yi Immortal, the Heavenly Palace was sure to win this time, even if there was still the Quasi-Sage tribe. Chapter 4698. Yi Qiuxian firmly believed that as long as he depleted a portion of Lu Ming's strength, Yi Immortal would be able to sweep the field and obtain the final victory. However, Lu Ming had no intention of going up. To be honest, Lu Ming didn't have the confidence to go up now. Lu Ming naturally wasn't afraid of Yi Qiuxian. However, there was still Yi Immortal behind him. In addition, the young man from the Quasi-Saint race, Zhang Qiong, was also very powerful. Back when he had just entered the land within the halo, Yi Qiuxian had once exchanged blows with Zhang Qiong and they were evenly matched. Lu Ming had witnessed this. There were still so many experts behind him. It was too difficult to defeat them one by one. Lu Ming, aren't you going to make a move? Lion asked Lu Ming in a low voice. No hurry. There are still people from the Quasi-Saint race who haven't made a move yet. Let them make a move first. Lu Ming replied. This is not bad. Lion nodded. However, they were worried that the battle would drag on for too long and Yi Qiuxian would have time to recover. If that happened, Tang Jun's efforts would be in vain and Lu Ming's situation would be even more disadvantageous. Most people still believed that Yi Qiuxian was the strongest opponent. After all, in the heavenly human race's endless history, there had only been 3 people who could control the perfect power of heaven. Each of them was an incomparably terrifying existence with the talent to dominate the universe. In the end, they would become legends and be invincible throughout history. Such a character wouldn't appear casually. It was already a miracle that Lu Ming could contend against him. No matter how strong the others were, they definitely couldn't be compared to Yi Qiuxian. Therefore, most people believed that as long as Lu Ming defeated Yi Qiuxian and retained a portion of his strength, the others wouldn't be a threat and could be swept away. Lu Ming looked indifferently at Yi Qiuxian and didn't go up. Why isn't Lu Ming going up? If he doesn't go up, Yi Qiuxian will recover. Someone from the Quasi-Saint race was unhappy. That Lu Ming wants us to make a move. Zhang Qiong smiled. He wants us to make a move. What wishful thinking. Does he want us and the heavenly palace to suffer so that he can reap the benefits? A burly man from the Quasi-Saint race sneered. No, we're going to attack. Furthermore, I'm the one who's going to attack. Firmament path. What? Young master, if you take action, wouldn't that be letting the Heaven Destroyer take advantage of you? The rest of the quasi-saint race were shocked. They all knew that Tsang Qiong was very strong. He was one of the few geniuses in the history of the quasi-immortal tribe. However, if Tsang Qiong went on stage now, even if he could defeat Yi Qiuxian, he would have to expend a lot of energy. Would he still have a chance of winning against Lu Ming? Don't worry, I have a drop of flame immortal dew with me. After defeating Yi Qiuxian, I just need to consume the flame immortal dew and my cultivation will instantly return to its peak. Firmament path. Young master actually has the flame immortal dew with him. However, the flame immortal dew is incomparably precious. Some people from the quasi-saint race sighed. The flame immortal dew was a treasure of the quasi-saint tribe. After consuming it, the quasi-saint tribe's cultivation would instantly recover to its peak. However, it would be a huge loss to waste the flame immortal dew. It would be better to wait for the battle between Lu Ming and Yi Qiuxian before Tsang Qiong made his move. Lu Ming and Yi Qiuxian are the strongest in the primitive universe's younger generation. They are standing at the peak of the younger generation. This time, I want to defeat the two of them in one fell swoop and let the world know who is the true strongest in the universe. Tsang Qiong's eyes were filled with blazing radiance and dense battle intent. The quasi-saint race didn't say anything else. They all knew that young master Tsang Qiong was usually the most combative. Among the younger generation of the quasi-saint race, no one was Tsang Qiong's match. Now, he had set his sights on Lu Ming and Yi Qiuxian. He wanted to defeat Lu Ming and Yi Qiuxian and become the true peak. This was Tsang Qiong's obsession. Moreover, Tsang Qiong had a drop of flame immortal dew. He might be able to defeat Lu Ming and Yi Qiuxian consecutively. Alright, since that's the case, young master Tsang Qiong, you can make your move. We still have a few people who can go on stage. As long as you defeat Yi Qiuxian and Lu Ming, leave the rest to us. An elder from the quasi-saint race said. Tsang Qiong didn't say anything else. He stepped out and stepped onto the battle stage. Yi Qiuxian, your opponent is me. Tsang Qiong spoke and made his move very decisively. As soon as Tsang Qiong made his move, the fiery red mark between his eyebrows emitted a dazzling radiance. His body was wrapped in a layer of fiery red radiance that was filled with terrifying heat. With a wave of his palm, a fiery red bird flew out from Tsang Qiong's palm. It looked like a phoenix, but there were some differences. Its aura was even more terrifying than a phoenix. For extinction heavenly sword formation. Yi Qiuxian shouted. His perfect heavenly power erupted. For battle swords formed a sword formation. Thousands of sword chi formed a sword chi wave that rushed towards Tsang Qiong. Boom! 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 The attacks from the two sides collided, creating a shocking collision. However, in the end, they were evenly matched. What? At the scene, many people couldn't help but widen their eyes in disbelief. Tsang Qiong was actually able to contend against Yi Qiuxian. This was really unbelievable. How could the quasi-saint race produce such a powerful genius? This was unheard of. Kill. Yi Qiuxian didn't gain the upper hand in the first move. He let out a long roar. His killing intent soared into the sky. His sword chi became even stronger as he charged towards Tsang Qiong. He was unhappy. Extremely unhappy. He was an existence that controlled the perfect heavenly power. He originally thought that after controlling the perfect heavenly power, he would be invincible in the universe. He could look down on the common people and be invincible throughout history. In the future, even those old antiques wouldn't be his match. Unfortunately, the first time he fought after controlling the perfect heavenly power, he encountered Lu Ming and was defeated by Lu Ming. This was a huge blow to him. Later on, he encountered the Yi Immortal and was defeated in a few moves. It was still acceptable for him to be defeated by the Yi Immortal. After all, the Yi Immortal was a legend in the history of the heavenly human race. He was known as the reincarnation of the strongest ancestor of the heavenly human race. But now, a young man from the quasi-saint race appeared and was actually able to compete with him. This made him extremely unhappy. He was determined to defeat or even kill Tsang Qiong and let the world know how powerful he was. He attacked with all his might. Unfortunately, Tsang Qiong was really strong and easily blocked his attacks. The two of them exchanged dozens of moves continuously, but there was still no victor. The scene was dead silent. Everyone was really shocked. Blocking one move didn't mean anything. But now, there was still no victor after dozens of moves. This was enough to prove that Tsang Qiong's combat strength wasn't inferior to Yi Qiuxian's. Damn it. Kill, kill, kill. Yi Qiuxian roared. The four types of heavenly power were showing signs of merging, becoming even stronger. Yi Qiuxian is about to lose. Below the battle stage, the Yi Immortal shook his head. Yi Qiuxian's mentality was already unstable. He was too eager for quick success. Moreover, he had exhausted a lot of energy in the previous battle with Tang Jun. If this continued, he would definitely lose. As expected, Tsang Qiong responded calmly. After blocking Yi Qiuxian's attack, he launched a counterattack. Roar. The roar of a beast was heard. Tsang Qiong waved his palms and a total of 4 birds of different shapes flew out. Chapter 4699. The 4 bird beasts that Firmament sent out were of different shapes. One of them was a fire bird that looked like a phoenix, while the other was a divine dragon with 9 claws and a fiery red body. Another one was a fiery red tiger, while the last one was a divine turtle covered in flames. They seemed to correspond to the azure dragon, phoenix, white tiger, and black tortoise of the 4 symbols. However, the 4 bird beasts were all covered in red flames. Their attack power was shockingly high, and Yi Qiuxian was forced to retreat. Yi Qiuxian is going to lose. He can't continue. Lu Ming muttered. Yi Qiuxian had already expended a lot of energy. He had been too impatient to attack just now, so he had expended even more energy. Now that he could no longer continue, it was only a matter of time before he was suppressed by Firmament. However, Yi Qiuxian did not want to lose. He had already lost to Lu Ming. If he lost again, his perfect power of the heavens would become a joke. He roared and screamed as he tried his best to resist. However, he could not change the outcome. His energy was being depleted, while Firmament's attacks were getting stronger. He managed to hold on for another 100 moves. Bam! He was hit by the fiery red divine dragon, coughing up blood as he retreated. Firmament took advantage of the situation and continued to attack, sending Yi Qiuxian flying out of the arena. Pfft! Yi Qiuxian spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was pale, but his eyes were fixed on Firmament, as if he wanted to skin Firmament alive. He had lost. First, he was defeated by Lu Ming. Now, he was defeated by Firmament. He had become the most pitiful perfect power of the heavens in the history of the heavenly human tribe. Firmament did not look at Yi Qiuxian anymore. With a thought, a drop of celestial flame dew from his storage ring entered his body, turning into extremely pure energy. Almost instantly, Firmament's combat power was restored to its peak. Lu Ming, come up and fight. Firmament looked at Lu Ming. Lu Ming, let me deal with this guy. Save your energy to deal with the people from the heavenly palace. Qiuqiu transmitted a message to Lu Ming. No, you're no match for him. Although he used up a lot of energy just now, I feel that he has already recovered. He probably used some kind of special treasure. Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Qiuqiu. Although Qiuqiu was powerful, it was definitely no match for Tsang Qiong. There was a big gap between them. Guo could also fight, but he was definitely no match for Tsang Qiong. The difference between them was even greater. Bone Demon was a peak divine master, and he could deal with 2 or 3 Lord of Heaven at the same time. But if someone like Sang Qiong was a peak god lord, he would be able to deal with more than 2 or 3 Lord of Heaven. Lu Ming reckoned that there were still a few people from the quasi-saint race and celestial race who hadn't gone up on stage. At that time, Qiuqiu and Bone Demon might need to take action. Lu Ming, don't tell me you don't dare to go up. Sang Qiong then looked at Lu Ming, his battle intent surging. Looks like we can only fight. Lu Ming muttered in his heart. At this point, he had no choice but to make a move. As long as he defeated Sang Qiong, he would have one more powerful opponent left, and that was the Yi Immortal. I hope it's just my imagination. The Yi Immortal isn't as powerful as I thought. Lu Ming pondered. His body had already moved. He stepped out and walked up the stairs to the fighting ring. Although there was pressure on the stairs, it was nothing to him. Come on, forbidden body. If I defeat you, I'll be number 1 in the universe. Sang Qiong's eyes were filled with intense battle intent. His aura erupted, and it was extremely powerful. His battle strength was at its peak. This made the Heaven Destroyer's people look solemn. Everyone could guess that Sang Qiong must have consumed some special treasure to reach his peak state. Otherwise, it was impossible for him to not be exhausted after such an intense battle with Yi Qiuxian. You want to defeat me? I'm afraid I'll have to disappoint you. Lu Ming said indifferently. He grabbed the air, and a long spear condensed in his hand. At the same time, the battle formula's 8-fold battle strength was activated. Is that so? Let me see how powerful the forbidden body is. Sang Qiong let out a long roar and struck out with his palms. 4 fiery red bird beasts rushed out with a scorching and violent aura toward Lu Ming. Buzz! The long spear vibrated. Lu Ming directly executed the sky-piercing technique. The dazzling spear light pierced through the space and pierced toward Sang Qiong. At the same time, Lu Ming struck out with his left palm. A large continent condensed and pressed down on Sang Qiong. There was nothing to test. The two of them went all out. Boom! Boom! Their attacks collided, and an earth-shattering explosion erupted. Violent energy waves swept out in all directions. In the violent energy waves, a figure kept retreating. It was Sang Qiong. Sang Qiong was retreating. The Heaven Destroyer's people's eyes lit up. Lu Ming's battle strength was indeed powerful. He suppressed Sang Qiong in one move. On the other hand, the people of the Quasi-Sage tribe were shocked. In their eyes, Sang Qiong, who was peerless and invincible among his peers, was actually at a disadvantage in one move. This was simply unbelievable. There's actually such a powerful person in the universe, terrifying, an old man of the Quasi-Sage tribe said with a trembling voice. I won't lose, Sang Qiong let out a long roar. His long black hair turned fiery red as if it was burning. The red mark between his eyebrows was even more dazzling. In the end, the mark between his eyebrows condensed into a figure. This figure was an illusory figure, but it emitted a terrifying aura. It struck a palm toward Lu Ming. Sang Qiong pushed his battle strength to the extreme. However, he was still no match for Lu Ming. Lu Ming used the sky-piercing technique and the desolation technique to attack the illusory figure continuously. After dozens of moves, the illusory figure was defeated with a bang. Swish! Lu Ming became one with his spear and pierced through the void toward Sang Qiong's eyebrows. His spear broke through Sang Qiong's 33 layers of defense like a hot knife through butter. Lu Ming's spear light was about to pierce Sang Qiong's eyebrows. Everyone's hearts were in their mouths. The people of the Quasi-Sage tribe were even more nervous. At this moment, the mark between Sang Qiong's eyebrows seemed to have come alive. It flew out from between his eyebrows and turned into a light blade that slashed at Lu Ming's spear light. With a loud bang, Lu Ming felt a terrifying force rushing towards him. It was unparalleled. His spear gleam dissipated in an instant. He retreated to the edge of the fighting ring and was almost blasted out of the ring. What a powerful attack! Lu Ming was secretly shocked. Sun Qiong's strength had exceeded his imagination. In this battle, he realized that Sun Qiong's battle strength was not weaker than Yi Qiuxian's. If both of them were at their peak, it would be hard to say who was stronger. However, the mark between Sun Qiong's eyebrows flew out. This attack was definitely stronger than Yi Qiuxian's. It's a pity that he is suppressed to the first level of the Divine Master Realm and can't even use his origin energy. Otherwise, it would be easy to defeat him. Lu Ming pondered. It was normal that Sun Qiong couldn't use his origin energy because those peak Divine Masters also couldn't use their origin energy. Lu Ming was about to continue attacking and defeat Sun Qiong in a spurt of energy. However, Sun Qiong suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. He staggered and almost fell to the ground. His face was pale and his aura was weak. Chapter 4700. Sun Qiong's aura quickly withered. His face was pale and he was on the verge of collapse. Lu Ming understood that the attack from the mark between Sun Qiong's eyebrows was a desperate move. Once it was used, it would consume a lot of Sun Qiong's energy. At this moment, Sun Qiong no longer had the strength to fight. Lu Ming naturally wouldn't miss such an opportunity. He stepped forward and his aura surged toward Sun Qiong like a tidal wave. Sun Qiong looked at Lu Ming with an intense unwillingness in his eyes. In the end, he smiled bitterly and said, "I've lost." After saying that, he stepped back and rushed out of the battle stage. Lu Ming didn't chase after him. He had no enmity with Sun Qiong, so there was no need for him to chase after him and kill him. That would only attract more enemies for Heaven Destroyer. Sun Qiong quickly rushed out of the battle stage. Lu Ming won this battle. Great! The members of Heaven Destroyer were ecstatic. The two people who posed the greatest threat to Lu Ming were Yi Qiuxian and Sun Qiong. Now that both of them had been eliminated, wouldn't Lu Ming have no opponents? There was still Yi Immortal left on the Heavenly Palace's side. However, everyone believed that Yi Immortal was no match for Yi Qiuxian, let alone Lu Ming. Even though Lu Ming had consumed a lot of energy in the battle with Sun Qiong, it shouldn't be difficult for him to deal with Yi Immortal. After defeating Yi Immortal, even if there were still people from the Heavenly Palace and the Quasi-Sage tribe who could participate in the battle, those people would be easier to deal with. At the same level, there would be a huge gap between them and Lu Ming. It was hard for the members of Heaven Destroyer not to be excited when they saw that the human king's body was within their reach. Of course, the members of the Quasi-Sage tribe were the opposite. Their expressions were extremely ugly. They didn't expect that even Sun Qiong would be defeated. Although there were still a few people from the Quasi-Sage tribe who could participate in the battle, they wouldn't be able to play a critical role. The hope of obtaining the human king's body was very slim. As for the people of the Heavenly Palace, their expressions were divided into two types. One of them had an unsightly expression, thinking that no one was a match for Lu Ming. The sovereign personage physical body was going to fall into the hands of the Heaven Destroyer. Of course, these people didn't know Yi Immortal's true identity. Those who knew about Yi Immortal's identity remained calm. No matter how strong Lu Ming was, could he be stronger than Yi Immortal? Impossible. The taboo body is indeed not simple. Interesting. Yi Wuchang chuckled and walked forward step by step. Patriarch is about to make a move. Those from the celestial race who knew about Yi Immortal's identity were all greatly shaken. Resplendent radiance erupted from their eyes. This was anticipation, worship, and reverence. The most powerful ancestor in the history of the celestial clan was about to take action. This was a rare sight. Yi Immortal stepped onto the platform. The pressure from the stairs didn't affect Yi Immortal at all. Soon, Yi Immortal stepped onto the platform and faced Lu Ming. Lu Ming stood upright with his spear in hand. He stared cautiously at Yi Immortal as the taboo energy in his body circulated to the maximum. He didn't dare to underestimate Yi Immortal in the slightest. For some reason, he felt that Yi Immortal was very strong. Unknowingly, Yi Immortal gave him a very strong pressure. This pressure was even stronger than that of Yi Qiuxian and Firmament. Even if Yi Immortal was at his peak, he wouldn't dare to underestimate Yi Immortal. Others thought that after Yi Qiuxian and Firmament were eliminated, Lu Ming would be able to sweep through and obtain the sovereign personage physical body. However, Lu Ming knew that Yi Immortal might be his real enemy. You must have expended a lot of energy in the battle just now. I won't take advantage of you. I'll give you half an hour to recover. Half an hour should be enough for you to recover to your peak state. Yi Immortal didn't attack. Instead, he sat cross-legged on the side as though he was waiting for Lu Ming to recover. What? Heaven Destroyer, the Quasi-Sage tribe, and some of the people from the Heavenly Palace were dumbfounded. Yi Immortal didn't attack immediately. Instead, he gave Lu Ming time to recover to his peak state before the battle. Was he crazy? Yi Immortal was crazy. Many people roared in their hearts. He was too conceited. One had to know that he was facing Lu Ming, the invincible figure of the younger generation in the primitive universe. Lu Ming had the taboo body. Did he think that he would definitely win against Lu Ming? This person is actually so conceited. This is great. Heaven Destroyer's people were ecstatic. Even Lu Ming himself was stunned. However, this made Lu Ming even more confused about Yi Immortal. He didn't think that Yi Immortal was being too conceited. It was very likely that Yi Immortal was confident. He's confident, but so am I. I won't lose in a battle of the same level. Lu Ming's eyes shone brightly. He also had the belief that he was invincible. Since Yi Immortal wanted to wait for him to recover before the battle, he naturally wouldn't waste this opportunity. He circulated the taboo energy with all his might and started to recover. Of course, while he was recovering, he also kept a close eye on Yi Immortal. He was afraid that Yi Immortal would suddenly attack. You can't. Immortal Prince, attack now. If Lu Ming recovers, he won't be easy to deal with. Immortal Prince, on the other hand, many people from the Heavenly Palace were anxious. Shut up. Immortal Prince knows what to do. The Lord of Heaven scolded them and made them shut up. Those who knew Yi Immortal's true identity had full confidence in Yi Immortal. Yi Immortal might not look old, but he was no longer a member of the younger generation. He was the strongest patriarch in the history of the heavenly human tribe. Even if his cultivation was suppressed to the first tier of the Divine Master Realm, his combat experience and some mysterious techniques were not something that the younger generation could compare to. Everyone discussed for a while and soon quieted down. They waited quietly. Half an hour passed in the blink of an eye. Lu Ming's aura was getting stronger and stronger. He had completely recovered to his peak state. At this moment, Yi Immortal stood up and walked toward Lu Ming. You've recovered to your peak state. Make your move. Let me see what you're capable of. Yi Immortal spoke indifferently. He looked down at Lu Ming in a condescending manner. Lu Ming narrowed his eyes. He could feel a huge pressure coming from Yi Immortal. Buzz. The long spear in Lu Ming's hand, which was formed by the forbidden energy, vibrated continuously. Every pore on his body was emitting spear light. His entire body seemed to have turned into a long spear. Swoosh. He executed the sky splitter form. The spear light pierced through the void and pierced toward Yi Immortal. It was fast, accurate, and ruthless. Lu Ming used almost all of his strength in this attack. Yi Immortal did not panic. He grabbed at the air. Four rays of light filled the air and intertwined to form a battle sword. Then, he thrust the sword forward. This is the perfect power of heaven. Lu Ming was shocked when he saw Yi Immortal make his move. He could tell at a glance that Yi Immortal was using the perfect power of heaven. He did not expect Yi Immortal to be able to control the perfect power of heaven. His hunch was right. Yi Immortal was indeed a formidable opponent. Lu Ming was shocked, but he was already mentally prepared. The people watching the battle were the ones who were truly shocked. The people of Heaven Destroyer, the quasi-immortal tribe, and some of the people from the heavenly palace all widened their eyes in disbelief. Chapter 47:01. Perfect Power of the Heavens. Oh my God, it's the perfect power of the heavens. How is it possible that someone from the heavenly human tribe has mastered the perfect power of the heavens? There are actually 2 people in a generation who have mastered the perfect power of the heavens. Many people roared. Especially those from the Heaven Destroyer. They were extremely agitated and had ugly expressions on their faces. The perfect power of the heavens was too powerful. It would have the ability to overturn the universe and pose a huge threat to the Heaven Destroyer. Now, there were actually 2 of them. This was disastrous news for the Heaven Destroyer. Those from the Quasi-Saint tribe also had ugly expressions on their faces. Those from the Heavenly Palace who did not know about the identity of the Yi Immortal were initially stunned, but they soon became ecstatic. They were extremely excited. The Yi Immortal had also mastered the perfect power of the heavens. This was really beyond their expectations. It was really a miracle that there were 2 perfect power of the heavens in a generation. They also finally understood why the Lord of Heaven and Yi Qiuxian listened to the Yi Immortal so obediently. Previously, they had guessed that the Yi Immortal had a very high status and probably had a powerful backer behind him. Now, they understood that the Yi Immortal not only had a shocking identity, but his talent was also extremely shocking. Boom! At this moment, Lu Ming and the Yi Immortal's attacks collided. The tip of the spear and the tip of the sword collided. A dazzling spot of light appeared at the point of collision. Furthermore, that speck of light was rapidly growing in size. Frightening ripples began to spread out in all directions. Whoosh! Then, the 2 figures drifted back. This move was evenly matched. So powerful. Many people were shocked. They did not think that Lu Ming was powerful, but they thought that the Yi Immortal was more powerful. In a direct confrontation, the Yi Immortal was actually evenly matched with Lu Ming. In the past, whether it was Yi Qiuxian or Tsang Qiong, they were always at a disadvantage when facing Lu Ming in a direct confrontation. However, the Yi Immortal was actually able to face Lu Ming in a direct confrontation. In terms of direct confrontation, he was already above Yi Qiuxian. Interesting. Again. Yi Wuxiao spoke. With a swift movement of his body, he dashed toward Lu Ming like a bolt of lightning. Sword gleams burst forth, transforming into hundreds of sword gleams that slashed toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming was fearless. With a long roar, his spear vibrated and spear light filled the air as he charged towards Yi Immortal. Boom! 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 The spear radiance and the sword radiance continued to clash in the void. In an instant, hundreds of collisions were heard. In the blink of an eye, the 2 of them had exchanged over 100 moves, but the outcome was still undecided. Primordial World. In the midst of the battle, Lu Ming used the Desolation style. 2 self-created secret techniques were used consecutively to suppress the Yi Immortal. However, Yi Immortal's left hand also congealed a battle sword and used 2 different sword techniques to block all of Lu Ming's attacks. The 2 of them were still evenly matched. The more Lu Ming fought, the more fearful he became. He had already pushed his combat strength to the maximum, but he still couldn't gain the upper hand. Moreover, he had a feeling that Yi Immortal was still holding back. He didn't seem to be using his full strength. How can this person be so powerful? Lu Ming's mind raced as he felt an immense pressure. He had never met such a powerful opponent in a battle of the same level. This was the first time he felt like he was no match for someone of the same level. Never before. This person's use of the perfect heavenly power has reached perfection. He's much stronger than Yi Qiuxian. Not a single strand of the perfect heavenly power is wasted. He's able to maximize the power of each strand of perfect heavenly power. It's as if he's an old monster who has been cultivating for countless years. Thoughts ran through Lu Ming's mind continuously. His movements did not stop at all as he continued to attack. However, the people from Heaven Destroyer had a bad feeling, especially Lion, Tang Jun, and the rest. This was because they could see that Lu Ming seemed to be doing his best. How can there be such a person in the heavenly human tribe? Lion said with a gloomy face. This person is not simple. He's shrewd and ruthless. He doesn't waste any of his strength. In fact, Lu Ming is slightly stronger in a head-on confrontation, but his control of his strength is not as good as his opponent's. It's incredible that there's someone in the younger generation who can control his strength so well, Tang Jun whispered. Is this person also reincarnated? Lion's face changed. The success rate of reincarnation is extremely low, and it requires an extremely high cultivation base. No one in the primitive universe can do it now. In terms of cultivation base, even Father can't do it. However, if we've succeeded, others might be able to do it as well. We can't rule out this possibility, Tang Jun said. The battle in the fighting ring continued. Soon, the two had exchanged more than 300 blows, but there was still no clear winner. With a boom, the two exchanged another blow and retreated. Lu Ming, your combat strength is indeed strong. No wonder you can dominate your generation. It's a pity that you've met me. You're destined to lose. Immortal said. His voice was still calm, but his aura changed. It became sharper and more terrifying. For some reason, Lu Ming's muscles tensed up. The forbidden power in his body circulated wildly. Sword of the heavenly human, death of moon. A cold voice came from Immortal. Then, Immortal slashed with his sword. However, this attack was different from Immortal's previous attacks. As soon as the sword was slashed, a moon appeared in the void. This moon was not a full moon. There was a gap in it. It was a waning moon. The moonlight scattered and rushed toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming was shocked. He could clearly see that this was not ordinary moonlight. This was the sword of moonlight. Every ray of moonlight was an extremely small sword chi. The sword chi was countless times smaller than a strand of hair. Countless tiny sword chi sprinkled down like moonlight. How much sword chi was there? It was endless. It was truly endless. It completely enveloped Lu Ming. Moreover, every ray of sword chi was formed by the perfect power of heaven. Block it! Lu Ming roared. The spear in his hand spun rapidly. It spun millions of times per second to protect himself. Clang! 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 The moonlight was like a sword. It landed on the rapidly spinning spear and exploded with a loud boom. In the blink of an eye, there were countless exchanges. However, in just a few breaths, Lu Ming could not take it anymore. There were too many sword chi. They kept coming at him. Lu Ming's forbidden power was being depleted at an alarming rate. Moreover, the impact of so many sword chi was too strong. Lu Ming's body was pushed back and he spat out a mouthful of blood. The moonlight chased after him relentlessly. It was like a living thing. Boom! Boom! After a series of collisions, Lu Ming finally could not take it anymore. He was pushed out of the fighting ring. As soon as Lu Ming was pushed out of the fighting ring, the moonlight was blocked by a force at the side of the fighting ring. Chapter 4702. Puff! Lu Ming spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was pale. If one looked carefully, they would see many small wounds on his body and arms. They were pierced by the extremely small sword chi. Fortunately, Lu Ming had left the battle stage and blocked the moonlight. If the battle had taken place elsewhere, Lu Ming would have been in danger. Did I lose? Lu Ming whispered. He was in a trance and felt that it was unreal. Ever since he started cultivating, he had never been defeated in a battle of the same level. Although he was born in a small world, he had fought his way up with an invincible stance. Now that he had reached the pinnacle of the universe, he had long cultivated the belief of being invincible. This was the first time he had tasted defeat in a battle of the same level. For a moment, he found it hard to accept. It was a huge blow to his confidence. Defeated, Lu Ming was actually defeated. The people of Heaven Destroyer also felt that it was inconceivable. It was like a dream. They also didn't expect that there would be someone in the universe who could defeat Lu Ming in a battle of the same level. This person is too strong. In the quasi-saint race, Zhang Qiong stared at Yi Immortal with an extremely solemn expression. The people of Heavenly Palace were ecstatic. Even Lu Ming was defeated. Who else could be Yi Immortal's opponent? The human king's body would eventually belong to the Heavenly Palace. Our Heavenly Palace has dominated the primitive universe for countless years. We are the true masters of the primitive universe. These clowns want to fight against our Heavenly Palace? They are overestimating themselves. That's right. When our Heavenly Palace completely controls the human king's body, we will be able to sweep across the universe and flatten Heaven Destroyer. Let's see who dares to go against our Heavenly Palace. Many heavenly humans laughed heartily. That seems to be a Genesis technique. Tang Jun whispered. Genesis technique? Aren't Genesis techniques only origin realm existences can master? This person is just a divine master, how can he know Genesis techniques? Lion's expression changed. That's why it's extremely likely that this person is someone who has reincarnated. It's impossible for divine masters to use Genesis techniques. Only those at the origin realm can comprehend Genesis techniques based on the origin they control. What shocked me the most was that his cultivation had been suppressed to the first layer of the Divine Master realm, but he was still able to use Genesis techniques. Unbelievable. Tang Jun said. Tang Jun was also someone who had reincarnated. In his past life, he was also at the origin realm and had once comprehended a Genesis technique. However, she couldn't use it now. Even if her cultivation hadn't been suppressed, she still wouldn't have been able to use it, let alone if her cultivation had been suppressed to the first-level Divine Master realm. It was far too difficult to use a Genesis technique, and the conditions were extremely harsh. Under normal circumstances, only those at the origin realm could use Genesis techniques. Yi Immortal, on the other hand, was still able to use a Genesis technique despite being suppressed to the first layer of the Divine Master realm. This was truly inconceivable. Yi Immortal had relied on a Genesis technique to defeat Lu Ming. Who exactly is this person? Lion, Shi, and the others stared deeply at Yi Immortal. They felt that he was shrouded in layers of mystery. Who else wants to fight? Yi Immortal spoke as he swept his gaze across the crowd. However, no one stepped up for a moment. If no one steps up, the human king's body will belong to me. Yi Immortal said indifferently. Damn it, let me go up and fight him. Qiuqiu called out. He was very unhappy. Qiuqiu, don't go. You're not his match. You'll just die in vain if you go up. Lu Ming stopped Qiuqiu. Yi Immortal was too strong. Even Qiuqiu wouldn't be his match. The difference between them was too great. Even if Qiuqiu's defense and vitality were astonishing, it would still be dangerous. Who knew what other tricks he had up his sleeves? I'm not happy, Qiuqiu called out, but he didn't step up in the end. What should we do? Are we going to let the human king's body fall into the hands of the Heavenly Palace? The Heavenly Palace has already obtained the human king's body. If they can find the human king's heart, they will be truly invincible. No one in the primitive universe will be able to stop the Heavenly Palace. The people of the quasi-sage race were also discussing. This person exchanged hundreds of moves with Lu Ming and defeated Lu Ming with a finishing move. I reckon that he must have consumed a lot of energy. Perhaps he doesn't have much energy left. We might still have a chance. An old man from the quasi-sage race said. The eyes of the other quasi-sage race lit up. That's right. It's already incredible that he could defeat Lu Ming in a battle of the same level. It's impossible that he didn't consume any energy. He must have consumed a lot of energy and might be on the verge of exhaustion. As for us, there are still 3 people who can fight. We might still have a chance to defeat him. Another person also said, I'll fight him. At this time, a burly man from the quasi-sage race stepped forward and stepped onto the battle stage. This burly man from the quasi-sage race was very powerful. He was one of the top experts in the quasi-sage race, just like the Lord of Heaven of the heavenly human race. Sang Xiong had already stepped forward before he could make a move. Kill. The burly man from the quasi-sage race stepped onto the battle stage and unleashed a torrential attack that engulfed Yi Immortal like a raging storm. He didn't want to give Yi Immortal any time to recover. He wanted to defeat Yi Immortal in a spurt of energy. Celestial Sword, Death of Moon. Yi Immortal said indifferently. He slashed out with his sword and an incomplete round of moonlight appeared. It's this move again. To everyone's surprise, Yi Immortal used his finishing move right away. The moonlight scattered and enveloped the battle stage. The burly man from the quasi-sage race narrowed his eyes and revealed a look of horror. He roared and tried his best to resist. However, his combat strength was far inferior to Lu Ming's. When the moonlight scattered, all the attacks and defenses of the burly man from the quasi-sage race collapsed instantly. PFFF, PFFF. PFFF, PFFF. The dense sword light pierced the burly man from the quasi-sage race. The burly man from the quasi-sage race was completely enveloped by the moonlight. The burly man from the quasi-sage race suddenly froze and stood motionless on the battle stage. His eyes were wide open and filled with horror. Then, with a bang, the body of the burly man from the quasi-sage race collapsed and turned into a pile of ashes. His body and soul were destroyed. It turned out that the burly man from the quasi-sage race had already been turned into ashes when he was enveloped by the moonlight. Every ray of moonlight was a ray of sword chi. There were too many rays of sword chi. The burly man from the quasi-sage race was turned into ashes after being hit by countless rays of sword chi. Damn it, the people from the quasi-sage race roared furiously. They were shocked and heartbroken. The burly man from the quasi-sage race was a top-notch expert. He was almost invincible under the Origin Realm. It was almost certain that he would break through to the Origin Realm in the future. But now, he had died just like that. It could be said that they had suffered a heavy loss. At the same time, they were also disappointed. Yi Immortal was really too strong. He had killed his opponent in one move. More importantly, Yi Immortal was still able to use his finishing move. It didn't seem like he was exhausted at all. Lu Ming shook his head slightly. He knew that Yi Immortal was still full of energy. Although Yi Immortal had exchanged hundreds of moves with him, his control over his strength was too exquisite. He hadn't exhausted much of his energy. Chapter 4703. Yi Immortal's control over his power had reached the pinnacle. Every time he made a move, he used the smallest amount of power to display the strongest power without any wastage. Although he had exchanged hundreds of moves with Lu Ming, he did not consume too much energy and still maintained his peak strength. The people of the Quasi-Sage tribe had ugly expressions, but they did not dare to send anyone else up. Although they still had 2 people who could fight, they were not as strong as the burly man in front of them. If Yi Immortal was not exhausted, he would probably die if he went up. No one from Heaven Destroyer's side went up either. Time passed quickly. Soon, half an hour was up. Although the people of the Quasi-Sage tribe and Heaven Destroyer were extremely unwilling, they still did not go up. We can't let the human king's body fall into the hands of the Heavenly Palace. If the Heavenly Palace gets their hands on the human king's heart, then our Heaven Destroyer will be destroyed and everyone will die. Lion's roar was transmitted to the ears of Lu Ming and the others. That's right. No matter what, the human king's body cannot fall into the hands of the Heavenly Palace. The human king's body is in their hands for the time being. We must find an opportunity to snatch it back. This battle stage has a defensive power. We will make our move when Yi Immortal gets off the battle stage. Lu Ming, Tang Jun, and the others all agreed. They discussed in secret and waited for the right moment to make their move. Although it would be shameful to snatch the human king's body after losing the battle, they could not care less. The human king's body was too important. It was related to the structure of the universe and the survival of the Heaven Destroyer. Once it fell into the hands of the Heavenly Palace, the Heaven Destroyer would definitely be destroyed. The Heavenly Palace would definitely not allow the Heaven Destroyer to continue existing. If the Heaven Destroyer was destroyed, then Lu Ming's family and friends would also be in danger. Therefore, they could only snatch the human king's body. Soon, half an hour was up. Once half an hour was up, the winner would belong to the Yi Immortal and the Heavenly Palace. The human king's body would belong to the Yi Immortal. All of the heavenly humans were overjoyed. As for the Yi Immortal, a smile appeared on his face as he walked towards the human monarch body. As long as we can find the human king's heart, not only will the primitive universe be able to stabilize, but our race will also be able to win the opportunity to deal with the subsequent dangers, Yi Immortal pondered. Wang. The fighting platform trembled slightly and the light around the fighting platform suddenly disappeared. Yi Immortal's expression changed slightly. The eyes of Lu Ming and the others lit up. This is a good opportunity. Let's go. Swoosh swoosh swoosh, Lu Ming, Tang Jun, Lion, Tang Jun, and the others all rushed towards the battle stage. To be more precise, they were rushing towards the human king's body. Their speed was as fast as lightning. The battle stage didn't hinder them at all. Scram! Yi Immortal roared. He slashed out with his sword, and an incomplete moon formed. Boundless moonlight spread out and rushed towards Lu Ming and the others. The moment he made his move, he used his ultimate move. Boom! 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 Lu Ming, Tang Jun, Lion, Shi, Tang Jian, and the others, a total of more than a dozen top experts also attacked with their full strength. The combined attack of more than a dozen top experts was extremely powerful. No matter how strong Yi Immortal was, it was useless. The moonlight was instantly pierced through by Lu Ming and the others. However, this delay was enough for Yi Qiuxian and the others to react. They rushed towards the fighting platform and attacked Lu Ming and the others. The attacks were extremely terrifying. Lu Ming and the others couldn't ignore them. They could only block them. Boom! 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 The fighting platform was filled with explosions as the experts fought against each other. Kill! The other experts of the Sky Exterminating Troop and the Heavenly Palace also charged toward the other side. A chaotic battle broke out. Lu Ming flashed through the crowd. He defeated 3 experts consecutively and dodged 9 attacks before rushing towards the human king's body. However, a figure blocked in front of him. It was Yi Immortal. Boom! The two of them exchanged another blow and retreated one after another. Subsequently, Lu Ming's figure flashed, wanting to go around Yi Wuxia. However, Yi Wuxia's speed was extremely fast. With a move of his figure, he blocked Lu Ming. The two of them fought with speed and exchanged dozens of blows in an instant. Young master, what should we do? On the other side, an expert from the Quasi-Saint tribe asked Sung Qiong. Let them fight first. We'll wait for an opportunity to snatch the human king's body. Sung Qiong Dao. He didn't make a move for the time being. He planned to sit on the mountain and watch the tigers fight. You dare to snatch the treasure that I obtained? You overestimate yourself. I'll send you on your way. Yi Immortal said coldly. His body emitted a dazzling light. He slashed out with his sword and a broken moon appeared. It was Yi Immortal's ultimate move again. It was the Genesis technique, Sword of the Celestial, Moon Death. Boundless moonlight shrouded Lu Ming. The most terrifying part of this move was that it was impossible to dodge. However, Lu Ming didn't intend to dodge this time. Qiuqiu had already transformed into an armor that covered his entire body. He quickly brandished his spear and defended with all his might. Clang 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 clang, most of the moonlight was blocked by the spear, but a small portion still managed to break through Lu Ming's defense and hit Lu Ming's body. However, they were blocked by Qiuqiu's armor and didn't manage to pierce through it. Qiuqiu's armor had astonishing defensive power. Even an existence on the level of the Lord of Heaven wouldn't be able to pierce through it. Although Ye Immortal's battle strength was astonishing, it was at most equivalent to an ordinary Lord of Heaven's attack. Naturally, it couldn't pierce through Qiuqiu's armor. Soon, the broken moon disappeared and the round of attacks was blocked. Desolate wilderness, Heaven Splitter. Lu Ming shouted softly and used two kinds of secret skills consecutively. First, he struck out with his palm and condensed a desolate continent that came crashing down on Ye Immortal. Then, he transformed into a spear and stabbed at Ye Immortal's forehead. Humph, insignificant tricks. Ye Immortal snorted and waved his hand. Two swords of light appeared in the air and slashed at the continent above his head, splitting it in half. The other sword slashed at the spear light that Lu Ming had transformed into. After an earth-shattering boom, Lu Ming and Ye Immortal both retreated. However, Lu Ming immediately steadied himself and charged at Ye Immortal. He continued to use the desolate wilderness and Heaven Splitter in succession. However, this time, a beam of light shot out from Lu Ming's chest and enveloped Ye Immortal. This beam of light was Qiuqiu's ultimate move. Qiuqiu wriggled quickly and turned into a small mirror at Lu Ming's chest. Then, it shot out a beam of light. However, Ye Immortal didn't show any signs of abnormality after being enveloped by the beam of light. His eyes were still sharp and even had a hint of disdain. You want to affect me with a mere illusion? How naive. Your metallic life form isn't bad. I'll take it. An indifferent and lofty voice came from Ye Immortal's mouth. He slashed out with his sword again. Sword of the Celestial, destruction of the sun. A great sun appeared in the sky. The great sun emitted a brilliant light that shone down on Lu Ming. Like the broken moon from before, the light of this great sun was also formed by countless streaks of sword qi. However, these streaks of sword qi were filled with a scorching and terrifying aura. They were even more terrifying than the moonlight from before. You're tuning into the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.